Going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. Today it's me and Lukas until we get Booner rolling in here in a couple of minutes. Gentry's out today. It's a game time decision. He's handling a family matter, so he's excused as he should. We got a lot. Yeah, of course he did. We have a lot to get to today. Scott Bischoff will be joining the show. Our draft, our go-to draft. I mean, everything. Feature Lions uphill draft. He's our go-to guy. Of course, along with Russell Brown, who I do want to get back at some point. They have a show together, Bischoff and Brown. It's a great show. So check that out. We got him at 8:30, so he'll be joining the program. We're going to go through Lions' new uniforms. They released a little trailer. Okay, we'll talk about.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Oh, yeah, it's like a mini little trailer. We'll get to Dan Campbell, Pro Football Network, ranked head coaches. Who's Dan Campbell ranked?
Is that Mike Florio? No, they're Pro Football Talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was Florio, he'd probably be 32nd. But I think he's...
Kevin O'Connell would be number 2.
Yep. So, Pro Football Network, they rank head coaches. We'll talk about that. Also, Brad Holmes. He said this is the best free agency that the Lions have had. Yep. Talking about Davenport. Yep.
Oh, that's at the bottom of the list. That's at the bare bottom. Get out of here.
Yeah, he's talking about. I think he's talking about Davenport. To be honest with you, I can't confirm or deny, but hey, we'll see.
I can deny.
But to start us off, like I said, we're gonna go through the new uniforms. We'll play this little video the Lions put out. It's a cool little. It's not like a trailer. It's just a video. I mean, that's all it is. It's kind of a sick graphic, but they announced the date for it, and they got this. This is pretty sweet though. That's all it is. April 18th.
Okay. I was getting all excited. Like, remember how with the helmet they had like the Mustang pull up type? They did like a little tease.
Maybe
I was thinking it was that. The fuck
I'm not
is
gonna
that?
lie.
What is this?
I'm not gonna lie. That was clickbait. I did. Yeah, it's not a trailer. It's just basically a video. But April 18th, they will be revealing the new uniforms. And I don't know what direction they're gonna go with this, but please. Just do something that we can be. You see the Bengals with the all whites, and I'm looking. It's like again. I always use this analogy, but it's like Christmas morning, and your buddy calls you and he's like, "Yeah, man, I just got this," and you're like, "Oh, I hope I get that." You get like something that's not quite that. I hope it's not that, Lucas. I hope you get some sticky. Come on, it's a new era in Detroit Lions football. Let's go.
Yeah, you don't want to see the big box under the tree and then you open it up and it's 6 packs of socks. Like, you're thankful for it, but you're happy you got socks for the whole year. That's not what you were expecting. No, because I can't really remember, like, at least recent NFL jerseys that have dropped for any team that I've been like, ooh. Like, I'm trying to go to. I'm not the biggest fan of the Commanders jerseys, but I understand why people like them. I just think they're off. I hate Carson Wentz, so now that I saw Carson Wentz in it, instantly hate the Commanders jersey. So that was my first glimpse of it. Had a bad taste in my mouth off the bat. Pause. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be dope either way. I saw there was like a blue assembly line, but it did look kind of futuristic. So maybe to Booner's point that he brought up, maybe they stay away from the throwbacks. But I want them to do like the old school throwbacks, not the Thanksgiving one, but when they had the white stripes on the side of the jerseys and the old face mask. I think that's what I want. I know you want the black though.
Yeah. I mean. Come on. I got the Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey on. I got the black shirt. Jersey. I mean, it's just what I ask for. I mean, it's all. I do want to give a shout out to the people who are here first. Shivkat was the first one in. We appreciate you. Eduardo O'Neill. Gentry's the hottest man on the show. Sorry, not sorry. Hold on. Okay. Well, yeah. Ubaldo Lions Talk never gets old. Yeah, welcome Ubaldo as always. And again, shout out Zach's. We got in here. Freddie Felt 313. Joey 2 times. He's in the chat as well. And of course, we got Adam Baydoun. He says, remember, everyone, when listening to certain mocks and analysis, remember there are dipshits in Detroit calling for Malik Willis.
Hey, multiple.
Did you see, and we'll talk about it later, but did you see Michael Penix's pro day? He had Drake May's
saw
pro
like
day too.
a little slide. I'm assuming he threw very well. I couldn't imagine Michael Penix having a bad pro day.
That's what you'd assume. Like I'm sure he had a good pro day. I know what he throwing the football, but I know he had a damn good pro day running. Did you see with 2 bad ACLs? He ran like a high 4.4 thing. It's like 4.48, maybe I think it's a 4.5. Like,
I mean, it's great. He ain't going to be running the league. Michael Penix, if they use him as a mobile quarterback, I mean, I think he'll have good mobility inside the pocket, like how we talk about with Hendon Hooker type of thing, especially because Hendon coming off that torn ACL. I think, I mean, those two are pretty comparable as prospects, in my opinion. I think Hendon's obviously a little bit taller, but what they did in college, especially in their last year, production-wise, and just kind of how they play, it's pretty similar. I think he's another one, though, that he has to land in a good situation because his development, I think, is a lot shorter than like the JJs or anything like that. One, with his age, and two, because of the injuries. But I think he has all the talent in the world to succeed in the NFL.
I'll tell you what, he'll be better than Bo Nix.
Bo Nix? Yeah, like you talk about Penix in the second round or Bo Nix at 12. Which road would you rather go down? Give me Michael Penix in the second round.
Because then he'll be in a better situation. Like
I could also see like a team trading up late in the first round with like, I mean, possibly the Lions, the Chiefs, the Niners to try to get Penix. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of the teams like I know Joe Klatt said the Dolphins, but I don't really see that happening. If somehow the Vikings don't get JJ and Drake May would probably go before, I could see them doing that maybe at 23, but I don't see that happening. But I could see a team like the Raiders. That's a good one. Schiff got put it up here. I could see because Gardner Minshew was nice, but he's definitely not the future. And you could let Penix develop behind Gardner Minshew for sure.
Did you see that? What was it? Antonio Pierce? He's like, Aiden O'Connell's earned the right to compete for the job. Like,
I mean, he has, though. He has. He instantly stepped in better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So, one, what does that say about Jimmy Garoppolo? Yeah. You look at that Raiders offense. Jacoby Myers came back alive. He went in New England. He had like a stretch where he didn't score a touchdown for like 2 seasons, and he turned into a touchdown machine in Las Vegas. Devontae Adams is still Devontae Adams. I don't care what anybody says. He was in absolute hell at the wide receiver position. They got better on defense. So the Raiders aren't going to be anything serious, but I think it's definitely a good quarterback situation, especially because I don't think they'll take a quarterback in the first round. They'll probably go offensive line, or they could go corner. They could get like Terrion or Quinyon too.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think, man, I cannot wait for the draft. I know we say that. Like, I hate this part of the year. I hate before. It's after free agency, before the draft, and then after the draft, like midsummer. Like, I hate. Those are the two worst parts, not just for broadcasting and for just sports talk, but just as a fan. Like, can we just fast forward until like the week of? That's all I ask. Like,
yeah, I like training camp a lot more now that we go. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's I cannot wait for training camp. I mean, you honestly, and this is where the 18th game talk comes in, because if you get that 18th game, at least the time period, the dead period, at least for us, it's a little extended or shortened rather. Yeah. The only thing is you're working longer, but hey, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
I mean, more time to make content.
Yep. You're absolutely
more time
right.
to give the people what they need.
Yep. No question.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had any interruptions. We got to pray to the football gods real quick. So if you wouldn't mind, Jeff, take a moment of silence. Dear Louis Riddick, please continue to look over my Wi-Fi how you have over the first 10 minutes of the show. It's been clean so far, I believe. If you could just keep this going, I'd appreciate it. And I believe the guardian angel Booner has just entered the chat as well, or the stream, I should say. So just please, as he enters the stream, keep my Wi-Fi strong. And Xavier will get it 29 of the Detroit Lions. Amen.
Oh, wow. Wild Booner appears as you pray. Look at that, man. What are you?
I like the shirt, Booner.
What?
Here we go, boys. Oh, that's loud in my headphones. Here we go, boys. How about them Tigers, eh?
What the hell are you wearing?
I don't know. It's baseball season as well, boys. I know we're a football program over here, but just see a nice little win today, boys. I just took this out of the closet for the first time in about 6 months. So here we go. Let's have a show.
That is an immaculate shirt.
I might switch it out a little bit through. We do have a guest coming on, so I might switch it out just out of pure respect. But
no, you got to keep it, Boone. That's a look. That's a look. I know so. Right. The first thing I said was I like the shirt, Boone.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
Tigers play today.
Perfect.
Start 1-0.
How about that? My favorite drink on there. My favorite drink. Love myself a good no free ads, but free ads. Miller Lite, shout out. Detroit Roots. Just a beautiful shirt. How about that? I'm trying to show it here. I'm just way off on my directions.
Yeah,
Let's have a day, though. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, Freddie says Booner got more drip than a water faucet. I mean, Booner, you
have the mullet going too still, Boone? You'd be thriving.
Oh, dude, I kind of do have the mullet too, because I asked, like, hey, can you guys just give me like a little mohawk? Keep it going a little bit, just trim the back. And they did that. So here we go, boys. How about that?
Hey,
I don't have a blue.
What?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. It's you look fresh, Boone. If I say so myself, you look fresh. I'm not
All
even
right,
gonna
boys, let's have a show here. What did I miss? I apologize for being late. I think I hit.
No, you didn't miss much. I want to ask you, Boone. I saw you tweeting this out. I know you were messing around here, but you were excited about the Tigers win today, beat the White Sox 1-0 to Tarek Skubal. You know what he had? The fifth best odds.
I believe so.
So what you go? I mean, what'd you think of the game today? I saw you tweeting about it. I caught it near the end, but what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a baseball savant. I love watching the Tigers because it's a Detroit sport, and I'm very involved. Not where I know everything, the ins and outs. I never played the game, but it was a very boring game. I mean, at the end of the day, if we're being honest, it was just a pitching clinic from both sides. So all that matters is the Detroit Tigers came out with the win. That's all that matters this year. Just win ball games, get to the playoffs, give yourself a chance, and they have the pitching to do it this year, which is exciting. Feels like they haven't had that in a while. So they actually have guys. If guys stay healthy, this team could be something. I would like to see the bats just a little bit here, but they did go up against another ace, I believe. So that's tough, dude. I put a couple bets in. Like I tweeted out and gave the people Spencer Torkelson plus 350. I thought and Nick, shout out from the old show here. I was texting with him today, and he was giving me all these pointers like, Booner, he's been bad in spring training. He can't hit off lefties. I loved it that much more. Tell me he's going to be bad. I'm betting it even more.
You wanted the odds. You wanted the
odds.
Him.
I loved him, and he didn't hit it. He went 2 for 4 though, so I have a little bit of a feel for the game now. I have a little bit of a feel.
We got to go to the game, boys. I haven't been to a Tigers game until how long? I don't know how long. Years.
Well, we're going to be out for opening day, so maybe, I don't know. We obviously have the show that day. I don't know what we're going to do for that because we're all going to be out in Detroit. So maybe if we end up doing like a pre-recording or something, and maybe we go to the opening day, we can find someone with some tickets, and we can see if we can snag some tickets on the biggest game of the year.
I know I saw you put out something. It was what organization will win a playoff series first?
Do you want to pull that up? Pull that up.
Yeah, you post that on your personal, or is that
personal?
Crunch Time? Okay, I'm gonna pull it up.
I kind of messed up that. I messed that poll up. If I'm being honest, I messed it up.
You're disappointed in yourself, Booner.
Yeah, no, I really messed it up. I should have known what was going to happen. It's a landslide to one team, and I should have known it, Lucas.
This isn't even.
I should have known. I'm better than that, man.
You got to hold me accountable here, Boone.
I'm better than it, dude. I'm better, man. You should have figured. I should have known where this poll was going to go.
What are we doing?
Click on one of them and see. Look at that.
That's a message, Jeff. That's a message.
No.
Do you still trust Troy?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't.
It's about time. Yeah, it's about time that whole.
Yeah. No. I think he should be fired He should be fired this summer.
He should be fired tonight.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, fire him today.
He should be fired by 8:30 tonight. Notification be sent out by ESPN. A Woj bomb.
Yeah. Why? The last game?
They should have fired him yesterday, and just let some other GM at least allow work in the offseason. I mean,
I agree.
It's frustrating. If I had to give a guess, if the Red Wings even make the playoffs, we had Mike on yesterday and he was talking about it, and they have a 30% chance to make the playoffs. So I could see why the Tigers are in the lead there
tonight for them.
Yeah, which that's not a favorable situation. So,
I probably should have done the poll with just the two teams. That's on me. But I wanted to have some fun here.
I think the Tigers would have won.
I think you made the best decision here, Booner. I'm not disappointed at all.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like the people taking the poll serious would have voted their serious. You know what I mean? Like they would have put their serious answer, and still they think the Tigers. But what's more important than that? Firing Troy.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked.
People displayed that.
Yeah, well, it's fair. to be honest with you. In the Tigers, I think would have won regardless. I mean, everyone's excited. They won today. So, bring Dumar's back. Yeah. Love Dumar. I'm
interested to see which direction they go with the next GM. I'm interested.
I don't even want to, yeah.
One that knows what he's doing, somewhat with an IQ.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this too with the Pistons.
I'll dive into that. I promise you. I promise the people, whoever gives a damn about the Pistons, I promise you the content of me doing deep dives about who they should bring in. Like, I don't even want to waste air today because we have good Lions stuff. I'm not even going to waste any air.
Let's talk some Detroit Lions, man.
You know what? Let's do that. Well,
I love the Lions.
I know you saw this, and that was Pro Football Talk, or excuse me, Pro Football Network, not Talk. See, I got me and Lucas were talking about is it Florio, and it's not Florio. So, because if it was Florio, I said he would have been Dan Campbell would have been ranked 32. So here's Pro Football Network's list of their top 10 head coaches, and number 1, Andy Reid. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
No.
Number 2, Sean McVay. Number 3, Kyle Shanahan. Number 4, John Harbaugh. Number 5, Mike Tomlin. 6, Jim Harbaugh. 7, Matt LaFleur. 8, Sean Payton. 9, Dan Campbell. And 10, Mike McDaniel.
There's a problem here.
See, do you want to start, Boone? Because we're probably thinking the same thing.
I think there's just and I'm not going to go, to be honest, I'm not even going to break down the top 5. I think that's all, I like all those guys in the top 5. I think it goes to, and you guys know I'm a Michigan guy. So Jim Harbaugh, and I understand everywhere he's been successful. I just think when you get back in the NFL and when you're doing lists like this, I don't know if you can just say right away, oh, Jim's there. Because you do want to still see what he can do. Because he was successful with the 49ers. He was in Michigan and Ann Arbor. I just want to see it. And I'm a Jim guy. So I think it's fair for me to say probably shouldn't throw him at number 6 just yet. I think it's fair a little bit, but maybe like 10, 11. Matt LaFleur, again, this is another Booner guy, a SVSU guy, alum, went to the same college. Should not be there. He should not be there above Dan Campbell. That should not be a thing. And then the same thing with Sean Payton. What has Sean Payton done in the last year or two since he's gotten that job to say, that he's a top 10 coach? You can argue he should be outside of the top 15.
We're going to leave Sean there, Boone. We're going to leave Sean there.
I get he's won a Super Bowl and he can coach, but you have to look at what happened last year. Who coached the best season last year? Dan Campbell's above Sean Payton from last season.
But where did Dan Campbell come from? And I don't
care who came from where. I really don't.
He had to inherit that Russell Wilson trade. And I'm not saying because I want to put, I just think Sean Payton, that's fine. I'm more mad about the Matt LaFleur one. Matt LaFleur, if you want to put him in the top 10, that's fine. But let's go back before this year. If you're going to instantly jump him above Dan Campbell and Sean Payton, which is egregious, let's not forget that this man had not prime Aaron Rodgers, but a 2-time MVP Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, and won how many NFC title games? 0. Dan Campbell already has shown that he's already a better coach in the last couple of years, in my opinion, the last 2 seasons, I should say. So to have him above Dan, when you look at what they inherited, I think is egregious. Matt LaFleur, top 10 coach, but I think that's the one that should be behind Dan Campbell instead of Sean Payton. That's in my opinion.
Think both. I think both. I think you could just take Dan. This might be biased of me. I think you could take Dan and put him above Jim Harbaugh, move everyone down.
Okay.
Personally. And I get where you guys are coming from, but what have these guys done the last couple
years? I didn't even say anything yet. So hold on. You keep going.
That's just where I'm at with it. Dan's done a really good job. He his first 2 seasons, he struggled and he's gotten better and better and better. And he just took a team to the NFC Championship game. I get he had Ben Johnson and he had this and that. Guess what? Who puts that together? Dan Campbell. Sean Payton, you can give him all the credit he wants from the past. We're talking about right now. Yeah, he had Russell Wilson in that. Guess what? They were almost what are we doing here? It's not like they had the worst roster in the NFL. And they started off so bad. And Jeff, I know the Broncos, that was your team last year. They struggled and they probably shouldn't have. So I'm going Dan up. I don't know if it's a biased opinion of me, but I'm pushing everyone down from Jim and I'm saying Dan should be up there.
So real quick before I start, I would like to know, and I'm not going to get this answer, but it's more of a rhetorical question. What is this list based off? Is it based off last year? Because then you're saying Dan's better than John Harbaugh. Or no, he'd be right where John Harbaugh is. He's better than Tomlin. And I wouldn't agree with that. So I don't think it's based off just last year. I think it's big because then Sean Payton shouldn't even be top 10, but he should be. Absolutely. No question. He should be top where he is. I think that's about fair. So I don't know how we're basing it. Is it resume? Because you know what I mean? If it's resume, then yeah, Jim Harbaugh, he's fine. I mean, he consecutive NFC championship games, a Super Bowl appearance. He has more than Dan and more accomplishments in the NFL than Dan. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm confused. Is what is this? What is this list based off of? That's probably where I would ask. But
because it says 2024, and I think it's head coaching rankings heading into this season. Their top coaches heading into 2024. So I don't know what they're basing it off of. To your point, but this is their best coaches heading into next year.
Well, we all agree that top 5. Boone, you said it, and I agree with you. Top 5, we're pretty cool with. Top 5, I don't have a problem with it. So we'll go to Jim at 6. I don't mind Jim at 6. And maybe that's just because I've been, hyping Jim up this whole time, him going back into the NFL. But let's not forget what he was in the NFL either. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I get he had a damn good roster, but we've seen coaches fumble that. And he consecutive NFC championship games, Super Bowl appearance, almost won one with Colin Kaepernick. He's a damn good NFL coach. Now, we'll see what happens this year. Obviously, it's a different team, different organization. But based off his resume, I think he should be here. Matt LaFleur, I know you're consistent with this, Lucas. You've never been a fan of Matt LaFleur, and I get that. I've always went against you a little bit because I got more respect. I mean, this guy had the youngest roster in the NFL and went toe-to-toe with the 49ers. What?
Yeah, but what did he do with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron?
I was with you until
I
this
think
year.
Matt LaFleur has flipped.
Yeah,
Matt LaFleur has flipped.
This year. Yeah, he gained my respect this year. I still think this is the problem that I have with Matt LaFleur is that a lot of people have been saying that he's been in that spot for years, and it's been what are we doing here? And I agree that he earned my respect this year, but I still don't think he's to the likes of Sean Payton or Dan Campbell yet, because I think he's a better play caller 100% than Dan Campbell, but as an overall head coach, as far as chemistry, building a locker room, I know that doesn't sound important, but when you look at the cultures around the NFL, it's obviously important. And I think that's where he's got him for sure, because Dan still has a good offensive mind. It's not 100% right. Ben Johnson. At the end of the day, Dan Campbell had to go, hey, Ben, you're the OC. And you look at Matt, he's got a couple OCs that have left him and DCs as well, and he's the one that are picking those guys.
And that's
Can I say
also
this too?
No, go on, Boone. You're good.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. What do you got to say?
I was just gonna my point here with this too, and this goes back to last year, the head the coach of the year argument. And I know us three, I think, had a little bit of a battle down the stretch with that. Kind of texting each other and going on air versus each other on this, but none of those coaches of the year award candidates are on this list outside of Dan Campbell. Just want to throw that out there real quick.
Yeah.
And I get it's what you did last year. I get that, but I was looking here. All right, who's off the list? Who could you say got snubbed of this list? And I'm looking, I'm like, Stefanski's not on the list. That's a guy that everyone was so high on. Oh, he's taken the Browns to back-to-back playoffs. He's done this, he's done that. Where's Stefanski on this list? I don't think he should be on it. But I'm just saying, that was and I think it's interesting to see a Pro Football Network kind of break this down.
Yeah.
And this is kind of obviously you could say Dan's a little disrespected here, but at the end of the day, he's in this top 10 list, which is very fair to me that he is a top 10 coach in the NFL. So Stefanski, no, shouldn't be on this list. Guess what? He just won Coach of the Year over Dan Campbell, which is crazy. Oh, I guess he did. Did he win it? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Nuts, dude. Nuts.
I think some honorable mentions, fellas, would be you'd have I would immediately assume a Shane Steichen, D'Amico Ryans. You have Kevin O'Connell, Zach Taylor,
Taylor's
those guys.
A good one.
I
think some of those guys you named just are a little too early on in their head coaching careers to where it's hard. I know Dan's in year 3, but if we're talking about
Zach Taylor is a better coach than Mike McDaniel, but that's just me.
I agree. I do think Zach Taylor is someone you could argue could be on this list, but Zach Taylor's he's gone to a Super Bowl. So again, but
and he actually beat Pat Mahomes.
These different guys, they're in year 1. They're coming off year 1. D'Amico Ryans. It's all right. We do need to see a little bit of a bigger sample size, a little bit.
Do you guys think Dan Campbell? I'll just get related to the Lions. You think he should be higher?
No.
Yes.
I think this is a perfect spot for him.
Go
ahead.
No, explain yourself. Go, because I know
I was just feel like you look at because one, Dan is very new, and I think while I did just say you can't give it all to Ben Johnson, I think you do have to. I think sometimes people act like it's 99% Ben Johnson. Like, no, this is still Dan Campbell's playbook. So he is a good coach, a good offensive coach, but I think he's more, like we said, in the locker room culture builder type of guy. But when you bring up the Zach Taylors of the world who have been to a Super Bowl, to your point, have beaten the Patrick Mahomes in the big moment when you needed it to, I look at that and I'm like, okay, I appreciate that Dan's there, but I could also see Zach Taylor being ahead of him. So if you were to put Matt LaFleur and swap him with Zach Taylor and then kind of rearrange the list, I think Dan should be in this area just consistently, however you want to arrange it, until proven otherwise. Because it doesn't make him bad, but he's still very young, to Booner's point.
Yeah. What do you think, Boone? You think he should be higher?
I mean, if he's higher, I think it's just like 1 or 2 spots again over on Matt LaFleur. Like, I think Dan's had Matt LaFleur's number. I don't know what the exact record is, but it's felt like that. Outside of, 1-1 this year, but the year before, it felt like since they've gotten good, Dan's been able to have that. And then the same thing, I think you could argue Sean Payton right now. I know Sean Payton's a coach has had success, but as of right now, I mean, they went head to head last year, and Dan outcoached. That was like a big thing, was, can Dan outcoach his previous coach? Lucas, it's funny, yeah, but like he did do that, and I know the team might have been worse, and he was working with Russell Wilson. But I just think at the end of the day, if we're talking about right now, who's the better coach? I think I would say, like, would I rather right now have Dan Campbell or Sean Payton in my locker room? Give me Dan Campble. That's how I look at it.
See, that's
Give me Dan Campbell.
Hey, so I think both are great options.
Give me Dan Campbell. Don't
you
disrespect Dan Campbell. Give me Dan Campbell. Don't disrespect that man.
That's fine. It's not disrespectful.
Yeah,
it's not. Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame head coach. Sean Payton is a Hall of Fame head coach.
He did a really good job in New Orleans.
If you're asking me,
I still want Dan Campbell.
If you're asking me, you have one season to win a Super Bowl. Same roster.
Give me Dan Campbell.
Especially in the playoffs. Just because of what I've seen Sean Payton over his career, Dan can get there one day. But at the end of the day,
at this point, I would love Sean Payton to lose every game the rest of his career.
What?
Now it's like a personal. It's like a personal.
It is.
Thing.
It's gotten very personal.
We met Sean Payton at the Combine, Boone.
Great guy. Doesn't mean I need to be best friends with him. I didn't just meet Sean Payton. He met Booner as well. So there's that. Goes both ways.
And I got it. Listen, Boone.
Come on,
Dan Campbell.
You would rather have Sean Payton building this team than Dan Campbell.
No, it's not about. I don't want to get into like who would you rather have, but who's the better coach right now? Like
Dan Campbell.
It's not. I know people are gonna be like, oh, dude, Peyton sucks. Like, they beat him last year. Like, are we just disregarding like Sean Payton's like resume?
Throwing up phase a little Jordan Humphrey. That's what he's got.
It's not like Bill Belichick, where he's a defensive, like he's offensive. Like Dan would even credit Sean Payton for a lot of the stuff he's learned. Like Sean is, I don't know.
Somehow, like, they went on a little hot streak there for a second too.
So if we're talking about based off resume, would you rather have Bill Belichick or Dan Campbell in the locker room right now?
Well, I think the league's past Bill Belichick.
Checkmate.
I don't think the league passed Sean Payton.
Maybe the league has passed Sean Payton by. Checkmate.
No, he's offensive.
You guys are basing this off resume.
Built for this. Okay. All right. Hey, you can have your opinion. I don't mind it. Hey,
it's not a bad take, Booner. Like, I'm not mad at you for it. I don't
think it's like egregious that you picked Dan. I just disagree, but it's fine. We got Scott Bischoff to join the show, so we're gonna talk some NFL draft, and maybe I'll ask Scott off the bat. You know, maybe we'll ask Scott, what he thinks about this whole conversation, because it is an interesting one. Please welcome in, of course, the one, the only, Mr. Scott Bischoff, joining the program. Scott, welcome to the show. We thank you for joining.
Scott,
especially what's up, guys?
Man, we're good. We're chilling. Tigers won today, Scott. We're feeling good. We're just
good start
to the NFL draft. I mean, can we just please hurry this thing up? That's where we're at right now.
We got 4 weeks. We got 4 weeks. I'm a mess over here, dropping shit. It's this month is gonna fly though, because I think we're gonna start to get some information, and it's gonna be good. Because so far, to this point, we've all kind of been operating in the dark as far as what the NFL thinks about these players. It doesn't really matter what we think; it's what the NFL thinks, and that's who's going to make the pick. So, it's going to fly though. I mean, I know it feels like it's crawling, but It's going to be here before we know it, and it's going to happen. It's going to be cool.
The best storyline, Scott, and real quick, I do want to introduce Scott. He's, of course, Detroit Lions and NFL draft analyst at DetroitLionsPodcast.com. He's a staff writer at thefootballguys.com as well. He's a good friend. He joins the show often. Scott, the quarterback conversation is what we're the most intrigued in. That's what fans are most intrigued in every single year. I know Drake May and Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, they all had their pro days. You had Jim Harbaugh saying that J.J. McCarthy's pro day was the best he's ever seen in the history of pro days. Where are you at with just the quarterback class? Because, Scott, it sounds like now you got Michael Penix. He had a great day, ran like a 4.5 with 2 bad knees. I mean, you think you'll have 5 quarterbacks going in the first round? Where are you at with this quarterback class with like Michael Penix skyrocketing, Bo Nix maybe to the Denver Broncos, and JJ just continuing to skyrocket?
I mean, if I was betting money, I'd put money that there will be 5. I don't think Penix will get to round 1. I mean, it is stunning that he ran the 40 he ran. He's had both ACLs repaired. He's got torn labrum in his non-throwing. I think it's his non-throwing shoulder. He's got a torn sternoclavicular joint that was repaired. He's got he's got a very bad body.
Wow.
And I mean, even this vertical jump was crazy, but he likes to stay in the pocket. That's just his game. He's willing to take punishment to make throws. Obviously, he's done that. He did it for multiple years in Indiana. He did it. Obviously at Washington, he did it. He's a warrior mentality. It's just, with Penix, if you knew you could keep him clean and protected, I think you'd be pretty comfortable with him as a quarterback. It's just, it's kind of unrealistic to think that you can do that and keep him upright where he wants to hang in the pocket and make throws down the field and challenge teams vertically. Sometimes you got to protect these guys from themselves, So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up, but I do think that you'll see Denver possibly. I don't know that it'll be at pick 12, but I could see them. They're trying to move up, but I don't know if they're going to have the ammo to do it. But I could see them if they can't move up from 12, dropping down into say the early 20s range, and taking Nix there. And to me, that makes sense. Maybe not to anybody else, but it makes sense to me, I guess,
Yeah. Scott, real quick too. Do you have a quarterback ranking for the 5? Because the one thing I'm struggling with, Scott, is who's 2? I had Jaden Daniels and I like Drake May a lot. What's your top 5, at least for this draft, if you got one?
I always, this is going to sound nuts, but I don't necessarily do a ranking kind of a thing because I think that's so team specific that,
right.
I just view it as like the arrogance of me trying to tell a team what my ranking is, ignoring what they do on offense is just ridiculous. So I don't necessarily do that, but I guess
most to work out then, most to translate to the NFL, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. If you're telling me, the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams. If it were me making a pick for the Washington Commanders, I would take JJ. I would do it because I've seen him deal with adversity, and I feel like I know what his mental process is more so than the other 2. You hear the stuff about him being a winner and all these things, but it's not easy. It's not easy to play in Michigan's offense when they kind of held him back and they asked him not to challenge, down the field much. They asked him to keep himself in the structure of their offense. They won a national championship, so it's great. But a lot of guys wouldn't have done that. They would have, I got to get mine. I want to challenge, swallowing their own ego for the better of the team. I think that speaks volumes for what he is as a kid. He's super competitive. You had adversity with Harbaugh missing the beginning of the season and obviously all the stuff that went on towards the end. So I just feel like, adversity is going to come. Bad times are coming. They are. He's shown you what his process is to handle all that stuff. And then does he have the upside of the other 2? And I believe he does. So that's where I would have him. And then I would have Daniels as my number 3 and May as my number 4. I know I'm positive I'm out of line there though. I'm not, there are things that May does that have me questioning him as a player. Some of it's stuff that I think like he'll drift in the pocket. It's really strange. Pocket will be clean, and let's say he'll drift a couple yards to his left, and now he's kind of in the middle where the left tackle and the edge player are, and he's brought himself there. So when he's got to make a throw, his hand is going to be hitting the back of the offensive tackle or in that mix, right? And he doesn't you don't need to drift like sometimes the way he does. And then there's some mechanic stuff where he definitely he has let me find a way. I want to say this right. He's got a big arm. He has more of a power throwing arm than the ability to layer throws in. So I'm not saying he can't make all the throws, but he's got a big arm. He has a very long release, and it's a strange release. I could see him developing shoulder issues. But the main point of that is his footwork. He picks his front foot up and sets it back down to make a throw. And you can see repeatedly over and over on film that if a defense makes him reset his platform to throw, he struggles to get back into rhythm of that throw. So that's where you see a lot of throws get sailed into the sidelines, and it's nitpicking a touch, but it is different. The way he throws the ball is different than the other three. The other three have no issues. They can throw from different arm angles, all that other stuff. He has a process in which he goes about throwing the ball, and it's definitely longer, takes more time, and it can be disrupted. That's why I would have him fourth of those four.
Booner, love that one. Huh, Boone?
Talking my language
You're
over here.
speaking
We have a very
language.
similar quarterback ranking or kind of list.
You're a genius, Booner.
Thank you. I don't hear that enough, I feel like, but I appreciate that, Scott. I want to get into the weeds a little bit here with this with the Detroit Lions kind of a little bit here, Scott. The question I kind of have, it's kind of a two-part question, to be honest. Every time you come on, you give us a couple guys that are, to me, I've learned a lot of different guys in this draft from you that I haven't heard, and then they start to pop up on my radar a little bit. And when you watch them, they end up being very, very good options for the Lions. I want to ask you, since the last time we spoke with you, kind of two different ways here in the kind of the first 3 rounds for the Detroit Lions, and then also kind of later in the draft. Are there any guys in the last couple of weeks that have started to stand out to you that you would like maybe the Detroit Lions to pursue in the first 3 rounds, and then as well kind of later in the draft? Are there any guys that no one's really talking about that you think could be good fits?
So I did do a mock draft, and I did send it over to Jeff, and
I got you.
So there's a couple names in there, but wide receivers, Xavier Legette is a player who with my exposure to him getting more, is a player I would love for them to take. I would love for them to take at 29.
Let's go, Scott.
Love
yeah,
it.
Wow.
He is. So he's around 6 foot. He's 220 plus pounds. He ran a sub 440. He vertical jumped 40 inches. You can see that stuff in his game. When he jumps, it's like he floats. It's cool to see. When he is down the field and the ball's in the air, he does a great job of manipulating his body. Contested catch stuff, he's great at it. He's got really good hands, but it's that he doesn't need to win at the line of scrimmage, like other receivers do, because he's big and physical. So he can run routes in the middle of the field where Goff loves to throw the ball. And then it's the idea of, all right, here's a 220-pound dude who wants to run over you, and good luck tackling him if you're corners and safeties. And doing that, repeating that, or handing the ball off to him with jet sweeps or screen passes. It's something that they don't do a lot of. They haven't in the last 2 years with Goff as their quarterback, simply because I don't know that, a lot of what like Amon-Ra does and is effective doing is in the middle of the field, down the field. But the idea of getting the ball quickly to this player and just saying, hey, tackle me. It's something they don't have. Everybody wants to compare him to Debo, and it's fair. He's just a bigger version of it. I think he's a bigger, possibly faster version of that. But he also can do things in the middle of the field, in the intermediate game, and down the field, where I think he would open up things for their offense, and not necessarily in a, hey, Jameson Williams is on the field, so teams have to commit a safety to him. It's more, and even if you don't throw the ball to Jameson, he's still productive because he's opening things up. Leggett would be a player who would be productive for you, doing a lot of interesting things for your offense, moving the chains. And his story is great. That's a terrible way to say it because it's tragic, some of the stuff that's gone on. But from a Lions standpoint, this kid has dealt with significant adversity and overcome it, and has got to this point in his life. He's a very interesting person and player.
And real quick too, Scott, I'll bring this up. We did see him at the combine, and that was a guy, I think, as a group, Lucas brought him up before we went to the combine, like a month before. He stood out at the combine and looked like I think I left, and I think I said on one of the shows, I felt like he was the best wide receiver there because he just stands out. He's big and he's fast, he's quick. I think he might have dropped a pass or two. Outside of that, in the wide receiver group he was in, it felt like he dominated, which is, to me, like, that's good to see that a guy could step on the field and just stand out like that. Especially with so many good players.
Well, Scott, too, to be honest, we didn't hear his voice, though. We saw him. We didn't.
Oh my gosh,
sounds like Kenny Chesney a little bit, but hey, he's a damn good football player. I can't even lie to
you. His voice is, there's something about it that is spectacular, and I don't know what it is. It's awesome.
Well, Scott, before
there's a few others. I think Travis Glover is a developmental tackle who I know has had like official visits with teams.
Yep.
Teams are interested in this guy. He went to what bowl game was he at? He might have been at the Hula Bowl, and then he got the call up to the Senior Bowl, and he was fine. And he's big, he's physical, he's up to the challenge. He's a fighter. He's played everywhere on that offensive line. Obviously a later developmental guy, but you need a swing tackle. They can't keep signing Dan Skipper to 1-year deals. They need something else. He's one who I think has risen in the process. And then I'm trying to think other names. AJ Barner. I don't know what you guys think of the Michigan tight end, but Barner's intriguing. He can do a lot of the inline stuff that tight ends do, while also being effective enough as a pass catcher. That's why I included him in this mock. I think he'd be a very interesting player at the point where you'd have to take him, which is like round 5. And I think he may be gone before that point.
We got your mock here, Scott. Kind of break us down what your mindset was. I saw you traded back. So what'd you do here?
Well, I traded back from 29 to 38, expecting to have to make a choice between like Darius Robinson or Leggett. And that was the target was on one of those two guys. But the point of the whole trade back is that you picked up Tennessee's 2025 first in the mix, which,
it's favorable.
To be honest with you, as a draft guy, that's like a 6 to midnight situation. That's good stuff, right? So you get a player at 38 that I would have just pulled the trigger on at 29, and doing it, you pulled. This isn't realistic, by the way, but it doesn't matter because I feel great about it. So I want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
So
love
you
all
get a
scenarios.
first round pick next year. That means you have 2. You got lots of capital to be moving around doing things. But then it's, you went edge with Robinson. Robinson to me is Cam Jordan-like, where he's not going to line up as like a 7-tech or outside the tackle so much, but he is going to wreck shop in his gap. He's going to make it very difficult. And, his measurables and skill set and all that stuff is very comparable. So moving down, Chris Abrams-Drain, I know you guys are tired of me talking about him, but I took him.
He's a good player, man.
He's a good player.
Good choice
and for value there, right?
Yeah.
They need help at receiver. Ricky Pearsall is a really, really polished player. Would be a dynamic option here. I much prefer Leggett, but Pearsall at 76 with this setup and this trade, that's all cool. Cam Hart, very big developmental corner who doesn't need to see the field much on day 1 or year 1, but you add Cam Hart and Abrams-Drain to the cornerback room. It's a lot more competitive than it was, and you need one of those guys to emerge. So 2 is better than 1. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. Jonah Ellis is an undersized pass rusher type. At that point in the draft, you already have an edge, but more of a condensed inside edge player, a more polished Pascal. The idea there is, could there be scenarios where you go to a 5-man front and bring some pressure, and you put DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil and Pascal on the field with Hutchinson out wide and a player like Jonah Ellis or James Houston out wide, and just bring it. And yeah, I think that's intriguing. It is something they could do. And then moving past that, Barner, the tight end, clearly a number 2 in the Lions scheme with Laporta, but they're taking away some of the inline stuff that Laporta doesn't need to be doing. So, and Barner can move the chains for you. He's not Laporta, but he can move the chains and he can do some blocking. Dylan McMahon, we talked a couple of times ago about the magic number for interior guys to crack 4.47 on the short shuttle, and he did. Now, he's undersized, but still, he is a center only. He's never going to play guard, but he is a very, very athletic center, a touch on the undersized side. But we're talking really late in the draft. It's a steal. And then Glover, the tackle, who's developmental, I don't know that he would make your 46-man game day roster, but I know that he's going to be competitive every day at practice. He's going to work his ass off. And you just don't know what's going to happen with Decker. You don't know what's going to happen with any. You need help. They need a swing tackle, a younger swing tackle who might develop into something.
Yep, they lost Nelson too, Matt Nelson.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, that's what it was. I think the Tennessee 25 first is interesting. Mm-hmm. Having 2 firsts is better than 1. So I love this draft. I think if this happened, we'd all be very, very, very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are guys that, we've done, obviously every Monday we do our mock draft Monday, and these are all players. You're speaking our language, Scott. So we're even the Jonah Ellis. You guys brought up Jonah Ellis to me. We had that conversation. And ever since you joined the show and brought up Chris Abrams-Drain, we're fans.
Yeah.
We're fans. I think he's going to be the best corner out of Missouri. I'm not a huge.
And he did the same stuff at the Senior Bowl. So, he's a good player. I don't think he'll be there at 73, but who knows? He is 180 pounds, but I would love to add him to the Lions cornerback room and just develop him. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yep. Lucas, you got anything before we let Scott go here? You got any questions?
Yeah, and it kind of goes right into with the mock draft. Scott, if you had to pick a couple, probably like 1 or 2 players that you think are the most overvalued, you think that there might be first-round pick, but when you look back at this draft in 4 or 5 years, you're like, how in the hell were these players taken in the first round? If you had to pick a couple of those, who are they?
J.C. Latham might be one of those guys. I hope that's not blowing anybody's mind.
No.
If you guys want to fight about it, we can.
The only reason, because just his size as far as being in the first round, just he's such a big presence at the tackle position, or why do you think that he's not going to be translating into the NFL?
So he does some.
I've only really heard good things about him from national wise.
Yeah, and I am, he is. Let me get the numbers. He is a huge human being. He's 6'6" and 342 pounds with 35 and an 1/8 inch arms. And from a run blocking standpoint, he does all this good stuff. But when you watch him in pass protection, he's so overly aggressive and he lacks discipline and patience, where you can see repeatedly. His eyes are not up at his target, and his eyes are kind of staring at the ground. And he doesn't play with good knee bend, so he wants to lean and lunge. So there's a little bit of waist bending lunging that's happening from this really huge player who ends up on his face a lot. And in round 1, that is just like, if you're drafting him in round 1, I think you're holding your breath. Another guy in that same mold is Amarius Mims. He's only started 8 games in his entire college career. Injuries have been a factor for him the entire time. So he goes to the combine and he runs the 140, and he's hurt. And he goes to the Georgia Pro Day and he can't participate because he's hurt. And it's like, he's a huge guy too. He might even be bigger. He's 6'7" and 3/4 and 340 pounds with 36-inch arms.
Jesus.
But if you're constantly injured, which he is, and they're all nagging things that you can't get over, I just don't know how long term that's a good solution. And there's some off the field stuff with him that makes you think, he's been compared to Isaiah Wilson, the Georgia tackle from 2 years ago who went to Tennessee, who's already out of the league. So there's some of that stuff where, it wouldn't surprise me because I think those guys are pretty overrated. I'm also hoping that those guys get drafted in front of the Lions at 29 because somebody will fall that shouldn't.
Right.
Those two guys, I think, I'm trying to think other players.
What do you think about Nate Wiggins? I know Lucas.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
He ain't a big Nate Wiggins guy. He ain't a big because of the weight.
He's super fast, but he's built like a spindle. It reminds me of Emmanuel Forbes, the player the Commanders took last year in round 1. He was 166 pounds, I think. Yep. He had a lot more production than Wiggins does, though. But, that's tough. I don't know how well he's going to hold up at 170 pounds, 172 pounds, whatever he is, against bigger receivers in man situations. I think that you want to play him in zone looks, but still he's a small player. And, you guys know, man, that it's physical, it's violent, things happen. Obviously he's a freak athlete. He's a great athlete. He's a really good coverage corner. It's just, can the body hold up? I don't know. That's,
real quick,
because I don't know,
another corner. I just want to see where your thoughts are on this guy. Another corner and he keeps getting mocked to the Lions on a lot of different mock drafts is Kool-Aid McKinstry. And we had the conversation on our show yesterday where we kind of felt like Kool-Aid, like if that would be a good pick for the Detroit Lions. What are your thoughts on him? Is he someone that would be able to like step in right away and play on the Lions? Or is that more so, hey, come in, learn a little bit behind like a Carlton Davis and some of these vets? And then like, where would you, if the Lions drafted him at 29, would you be happy with that?
Yeah, it'd be okay. I mean, he fits. I mean, it's tough in the college game. It's tough to find, physical man coverage corners. Alabama does it. So, I mean, if you want to find that type of player, it's Alabama. I would want him to be a little more physical though than he has been. So you'd have to dial up some of that competitiveness and get him, trade up and get Verse. That'd be great. You'd want to get Kool-Aid more competitive. I think that so we just need to understand that, he's playing on the broken foot, or he's working out on the broken foot. And I don't think it's relevant so much for the 40 time, because I think he ran like a 4.52. That's generally what his speed is going to be. I don't think that the Jones fracture is necessarily going to inhibit the speed, because you're not really changing direction. I think if you were, then it would be a problem. But I think he is a 4-5 corner who plays the exact system that you want. And just, there's a little bit of lack of competitiveness where he'll allow a receiver to get into his route when his job is not necessarily to allow that to happen. So you can see that happen a little bit, but we have to understand too that they're going to go to a place where they're going to get coached up. They're going to be asked to maybe do some things differently. And it doesn't mean that, Kool-Aid can't get any better from where he is right now. I would think that if you asked a year ago, are you cool with Kool-Aid at pick 29? We all would have said, yeah, for sure. So, I think it'd be fine. It's definitely one way. It's one way about going about, filling some holes on their roster.
Yeah, and he's injured, so it has to be something. He's got.
Yeah, he's going to have foot surgery. He's going to return. Who knows when? Yeah. But there isn't a premium upon him coming out, in August and having to be the guy, because you have guys who can help mitigate however long it takes for him to get there. But I could see him being in 2 years being cornerback 2 and being a relatively productive one, and a good member of their defense. I could see that happening.
Yeah, no question. Good stuff, Scott. We appreciate you as always taking the time to get find Scott.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoy it all the time.
Oh, we're gonna have you on if as long as you're okay with it more often here as the draft approaches, because I can't wait for it.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good. I like it.
Let's do it.
Let's
all
go.
right, you can find Scott at Bischoff_Scott, Detroit Lions NFL draft analyst at DetroitLionsPodcast.com, and a staff writer at FootballGuys.com. You can check out him and Russ's show, which you guys are obviously doing a great job there. Over on what network is that on again?
DetroitLionsPodcast.com.
That's what it is. All right, appreciate you, Scott.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you very soon, my man. Thank you.
See you guys.
Appreciate it, Scott.
Right. There you go. Scott Bischoff giving us his NFL draft analyst. He's putting us on to a lot more players, and he's been in lockstep with even some of our thoughts. I mean, he's feeding Boone's ego with JJ. He's feeding Lucas's ego with Nate Wiggins.
And Leggett at 29.
Leggett
at 29. I was like, that's music to my ears.
Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to some super chats and memberships. Sarah became a member for 1 month. She says, "Let's go Tigers and Wings." Thank you, Sarah. We appreciate it. We agree there. And then Eduardo O'Neill, thank you for the $5, brother. He says Lions had the third youngest roster with second youngest defense. We're up 17. What's your point, Jeff? I'm not trying to discredit him. No, I'm not.
No,
that's why we have him in the top.
I think
7. He's one of the best coaches.
Top 7. I love to hear
saying that with LaFleur, because he brought up what he did with the youngest roster in the league. We were talking about Dan and LaFleur.
Yeah, you got to be consistent. I know what he's referring to, but since I give LaFleur credit, I give Dan credit. I just think, Dan at least had I don't want to go down this hole, but it helps then when you have a quarterback like Jared, who has a ton of experience. Like Jared, Jordan Love has never started until this season, and they found some success there.
It's a young football team both ways, though.
Yeah, both ways.
They both have young football teams. One just has
Dan's
a
on that top 10 list. Stud, man.
For sure.
Fellas.
Shout out to Scott too. That great. I love learning those guys from him.
Yeah, he's the best. I always see. I'm very aware of of guys taking time out of their day, so I'm always trying to make sure we respect that. But to hear Scott be like, "Yeah, I'll join anytime," I'm like,
"Let's go, man!
What a legend!"
Especially with the draft around the corner, just let's. Especially someone who breaks the draft down as he does, it's good to kind of get more guys. That's why I asked him the question I did. I want to get more guys. We're not talking about kind of in our vision here, so we can kind of expand a little bit.
Look at this, Joey 2 times. Shout out Joey 2 times. He says Leggett at 29 would be the first big mistake.
I did see earlier Joey said that he would be like the Malik Malik Willis of this year's draft, which that's kind of I don't know.
It's harder to go lower than Malik. I mean, he was.
I don't understand it, because I get he only has had 1 year of production, but when you watch that tape, it's not like he was a product of a system for 1 year. Like, he was making plays. If Spencer Rattler did not have Xavier Leggett, Spencer Rattler would be a 7th round pick right now. Probably wouldn't even be drafted.
He was
the
the
whole
system
personality thing. Like, he would be left for dead. Nothing. Xavier Leggett, if you watch that tape, I don't see a way that you don't go, damn, that's a really good football player, because he is a perfect fit for where the NFL is going. Like, he is that mold. If he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, and he can block too. If you watch that kick return that he had against, I believe it was Texas A&M, and then you look at the kickoff rules now, and you think about, you plug that guy in, because he's not going to be your wide receiver 1 or 2 right off the bat, but he can be a playmaker for you, like Scott said, both on offense and on special teams. I think that's right up Dan's alley for what he wants in a player. And I don't think Brad would be like, no, we're not taking a wide receiver at 29.
The position he would be in the Detroit Lions, like he can come in and be that third guy if he needs to. And that's where it's for him. That's getting to the NFL, get used to it. You're coming into a Ben Johnson offense, a vet court. That's just what it comes down to. He doesn't have to come in and be a number 1 instantly, like so much pressure, everything on him. No, come in, play your game, and be great and develop with this offense. And hopefully in the next couple years on a rookie deal, we have you as our number 2, or you're able to kind of get up there and be that 1-2 punch with Amon-Ra. That's kind of where I look at a guy. If you're taking him 29, you're hoping for that, and you're sitting there with JMO, like, who's going to be that number 2? Which one of these guys is going to take off? That's where I'm at with Leggett.
Yeah,
and I think he can do it. I think he can do it. He's got the skill set to do it.
I like Xavier Leggett. I'm still opposed to wide receiver in the first round. So that's where I'm at with it. So I would say no, but it's not even like, Xavier Leggett stinks. It's not that.
Take the red pill, Jeff. Take the red pill.
Only if you take the red
pill.
Kool-Aid, the red Kool-Aid pill at 29. You can take that.
What are you talking about? Don't throw Kool-Aid out around like that.
Yeah, Booner. I owe royalties to Booner every time I say it. I forget. My bad, Booner.
Yeah. Shout out Easy too. He said, "Nice shirt, Booner. Thank you."
Yeah, shout out Easy.
Shout out Easy. If you're looking for some good deals, go get 4 wheels from my guy Easy.
Oh yeah,
how about that?
Like that?
Okay.
Well, we talked about the NFL draft, fellas. Let's talk about free agency. Brad Holmes.
Do it.
He had a quote when he spoke to the media. The Lions made a graphic out of it, sweet graphic. And here's that graphic. He said, "I truly believe this was our best free agency haul that we've had since we've been here." Brad Holmes said that about this free agency class. And to be honest, guys, he ain't wrong because they haven't really done. I mean, like Cam Sutton was the big splash, the prior free agency.
Demont.
Demont. I meant in terms of money.
Oh yeah,
but player, you're all right. Yeah, Demont was the most impactful. But this year, DJ Reader, he's better. I mean, he makes this by himself pretty much the best free agency class. And then if you talk about Carlton Davis, technically he was traded. What do you guys think of Brad's quote here? Just kind of grading his free agency so far.
I thought it was good. I think the reason I would say it's good is because he upgraded this football team. Like that was the only goal going into free agency. Upgrade this football team, fill the holes. Like that's what free agency is for. You filled the holes. You got DJ Reader. You got Kevin Zeitler. You re-signed Graham Glasgow. Like that counts. The Carlton Davis thing, that counts to me as well. Amik Robertson, like a guy to where he had his list of guys he wanted. And when he went after Amik Robertson and Carlton Davis, he said, I thought we were only going to get one. And that was my plan, was just to get one. And he ended up getting both. So we're like, when you look at Brad and his board, typically, he has different boards, and he's proven this in the draft. He has very, very different boards than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And going into the free agency, and this is where I tried so hard, and I think you guys did as well, to try and tell the people, don't get all up in arms over getting Danielle Hunter and getting L'Jarius Sneed and getting these guys. Like, don't get there to where you think you need him to go win football games. And that's a successful offseason if you get those guys, because that's not it. It's Brad had his list. He literally came out and said, I literally got outside of Josh Reynolds, I got every single player at the top of my free agent list this offseason. Every single player. Even and as much as Lucas, you don't like Marcus Davenport, he was towards the top of his list. So everyone that he went after, he got. And yeah, that could be Brad just saying that. I believe that, and I believe the way he's gone about business, he takes different approaches to things. He's looking at the money, he's looking at the long term. He's looking, we're going to have to extend guys, we're going to have to do this. Doesn't make sense for L'Jarius Sneed because of the money, probably. Same with the Danielle Hunter. Doesn't make sense. All of it doesn't add up. I think he killed it because he upgraded the positions that you needed to upgrade. And he went out there, the offensive line, you thought you were losing Jonah. He went out there and got 2 guys that are just as good, probably, that are going to be just as good this year for you. I honestly, I like what he did. I would say it's an A right now, just based off of that. Maybe like an A-, because outside the Cam Sutton thing, maybe you do need another corner now. But again, that's TBD right there.
Yeah, I think that was very well said. I mean, you look at what the Lions want to do. They want to shore up the trenches before they do anything else. And they got DJ Reader, who's a Pro Bowl caliber type of defensive tackle. No, he's not an all-pro, but, I mean, that transforms your defense right away, especially when you pair him next to Aleem McNeil. Kevin Zeitler is a Pro Bowl caliber guard. So you upgraded. Like I've said it before, I think Kevin Zeitler, at least for this season, is an upgrade over Jonah Jackson for what he can do. And DJ Reader upgraded the trenches right away. And I guess you can say Marcus Davenport if you want to throw him in there. But then they did add 2 additional corners to Amik Robertson and Carlton Davis. So the holes, to Booner's point, they got filled. I'm not going to say it's an A yet, because Booner, to your point, I think especially what you said at the very end of it, you could still add a Stephon Gilmore to this. And then I'd be like, all right, that's an A free agency. But I do think it's his best one yet. I think it's hard to say it's not, because I don't think he's really gotten that aggressive. But you talk about the players that we just talked about. I think that's an aggressive free agency.
Yeah, I would give him a B plus. I think they had a good free agency. I mean, I could say DJ Reader, top 10 defensive tackle. You could, and I'm not saying he's 10, but you put him anywhere in there. You could say Kevin Zeitler, top 10 guard. And if you want to go more specifically, right guard, then yes, he is. He's more top 5 at that specific position. But regardless, he's a top 10 guard. Based on what he did last year. And then Carlton Davis, I would say, is probably top 15, maybe. Yeah, I would say, based on some guys dropping, some guys. I mean, so maybe top 15. If you want to say closer to top 20, it is what it is. But you got 2 guys that are top 10 at their position, and Davenport and Amik are kind of big question marks because number one, Amik has had 2 seasons where he's been pretty solid. But if he plays really well, now the grade increases significantly. And then Davenport is just injury riddled. Like me and Boone can talk about being optimistic, but like if he's not healthy, like it's a bust.
Biggest thing. That's like keyword healthy. If you say healthy, you can get production.
If he's not healthy, it's a bust. So if he's healthy and Amik has a pretty good year, then yeah, I think the free agency class then goes into more A- range where you're like, they got some damn good players.
Want to throw something out there? I want to throw something out there, and I'm not going to sit here and I'm not. I don't even know if he's going to make the roster. Did you hear Brad's comments on bets? Did you guys any of you guys hear that? Brad came out and said he said the one thing you can't ignore with bets was his production, even if it was versus bad competition. He said it's very similar to when they kind of go out and recruit and they break down film and look at guys that play at lower level D1s and lower like D2s in schools like that, to where when you see guys at lower levels producing a lot more and you kind of start breaking those films down. That's how he looked at a guy like Betts. I'm looking at him similar to like a lower level college and I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying I don't even know if he's going to make the roster, but that's the approach Brad said he's taking. And he said, since obviously he wasn't able to go see games, they have some testing and he said, I'm not going to get into it because it's really weird what we do, but he has some tests and some things that he does with players like that, especially players that are at lower level schools and you can't see play, that he gets those guys through. And he said Betts passed all of them and he loves them. Like he said, he absolutely loves Betts. He had the production guy. It just feels like a guy to where just out of nowhere, he's going to be in like some sort of rotation at some point in his career, just because it's like, he's a Dan guy, he's a Brad guy. And they just absolutely see, I don't know. It's just, it was interesting, the comments. I don't know if I'm the only one out of all the people in the chat and myself who heard the comments, but when I heard it, I was like, all right, that's actually kind of interesting. It's interesting the way he approached it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I just,
Go watch Brad talk.
I know, but here's my opinion on it. I just think Matthew Betts will be a big nothing burger. So that's there you go.
Clip it.
Yeah, clip it.
Thursday,
please.
March 28th, 9:10 p.m.
A big nothing burger. Clip this, please. If I'm wrong,
I'm gonna send you the Brad Holmes. I'll send you the Brad Holmes comments on him. I'll go back and find it. And
they love Levi too. They love what Levi can do coming out of the.
So does Jeff. So does Jeff. Oh no, he's a Josh Pascal guy. My bad, wrong guy. This defensive lineman, dude. It's just they just all get drafted. They all get brought in, and all of them have the same production. I'm sorry, I get some of them mixed up. The production's all similar.
And I'll let you kind of give your. I don't get the like bets like the fascination.
I'm not saying he's even.
The guy was in the NFL.
I know. I don't even know if he's going to make the team.
Said, "Hey, buddy, there's the fucking door. See ya." Like, what are we doing? He never played again.
I saw the comment. Why all of a sudden is he like
JJ Watt coming back? Like Undertaker music cues, and it's like Matthew Betts, and he just comes out of the fucking like, I'm back.
He might not even make the football team. He might not even make the football team out of training.
No, he's not going to. If he does, I'd be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked.
We should put a bet on it. I don't believe it'll happen, but it's just kind of a fun bet when we go to training camp. There's my guy. Come on, bet.
He's just like Jared's wearing the red jersey, and Matthew Betts just lays him out still.
Dog.
And then watch Matthew will be cut, and Booner will be like, "Yeah, I mean, he's what do you expect? I mean, he's just."
Told you he wasn't going to make it.
He's like, I told you guys he wasn't going to make it.
Can I take the shirt off?
Guys, he's a stud, man. He's a stud. And this is what I don't like. Like, and by the way, it's not that I don't appreciate this person's presence, because I do. And Gary, I appreciate your presence. But how does me giving my opinion like lead to me thinking I'm smarter than Brad Holmes? Like, that's what our job is, right? Give our opinion. I'm not going to be like, oh, hold on, what did Brad Holmes say today? He likes this guy. Yeah, I like that guy too. I like that guy a lot because wait, what did Brad say? He says he doesn't like this guy. I don't like that guy either. No, I mean, I give my opinion. I don't think Matthew Betts is going to be as good as people think. You know, so there you go. If that's me thinking I'm smarter than Brad Holmes, I don't hate the move. You bring him in, cool, compete. If it doesn't work out, see ya. It's that easy.
Brad Holmes knows what he's doing.
I never said he doesn't. I'm talking to like the fans are like, Jeff.
Hey, they brought in Denzel Mims too.
Yeah, they want to give him
fair.
Like Bada Bing Bada Boom said. They want to give him a look. That's all it is.
What a name,
hey,
dude.
Come on in. If he competes, cool. If he doesn't, see you later. I still don't think they have the other side of Aiden figured out. Like, unless James Houston is like what he was his rookie year. But I'm still a little worried. Like, I am. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make the team, but I just wanted to throw that comment out there because I saw the comment and I heard Brad talk about it yesterday or 2 days ago.
Do you remember that little week that Trey Quinn was on the Detroit Lions? Remember, I think when we went to training camp.
Oh yeah, Trey Quinn.
Trey Quinn was out there making plays.
Yeah, Trey Quinn, Tom Kennedy, the legend. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lines.
85, man. I'm pretty sure he's still he's going to be at training camp this year.
Guys, I do want to Gary. I love Gary. He says Jeff admitted Booner's right. You hate Holmes. Oh gosh, that's the thing.
I don't know if I've ever heard those words come out of Jeff's mouth before.
No, it's not.
We all love Brad Holmes.
Yeah, I think he was just being sarcastic. But
I was more so saying I don't think I've ever heard the words Jeff say Booner, you're right, or Booner's right.
Oh my God, that's egregious.
I'm just kidding.
Well, typically, if we are arguing,
just chopping it up with the boys.
I think I'm right, you know, and you think you're right, Boone. That's why this show's so great.
John Hughes said so. Booner's final take is Betts won't make it. That would be my final take. I would move towards 75% does not make the team, 25% makes it. I'll go 75-25.
That's generous. That's generous.
wait, no, so you don't think he'll make it? You just we're hyping him up. What's going on?
It's not that I was hyping him up. I was just Brad made the comment. I thought it was an interesting comment. That's all. It was worth talking about. It was a very interesting comment because it was asked about the defensive edge. Was he comfortable with what they had? And he brought up, or someone brought up that. There's just no reason. Like as much as you guys are laughing.
Coming after 2024 in theaters
the fact
soon.
that Betts got brought up, whether it was from a reporter or Brad, that means there's something. And the way he responded to it was, I did my homework on him. I know it's not good competition, but the production he had, and it's just like a guy coming from a mid-major or lower level college. It's if they have the production, let's look at the film, see what he can do. And he said he's a high energy, high motor guy. This is unbelievable here. Is this a professional show?
At you, Booner. I'm just thinking about like
it's not you.
Is this a professional show? Are we supposed to be pros here?
Yeah. But we can laugh at funny things.
Sorry.
I'm just thinking of Matthew
together,
Betts coming off the edge of the Detroit Lions in 2020.
You never know who could be watching our show right now. Lock in, folks.
Oh yeah, you're right, Brad Holmes. Matthew Betts will be Defensive Player of the Year. You know, you know what?
Well, I was more so talking about never mind. I'm not going to go there. Never mind.
Well, hey, I will, guys, and this is what I was excited to do today because I saw this on my timeline, and I got a lot of respect for this person. But you guys know who Mike Payton is?
Yeah.
Yes. I think he's A to Z, correct?
Yep, works for A to Z. Lions beat writer. He's a cool ass
follow
dude.
On Twitter.
Yeah, he is a cool dude. But I disagree with him like so much on this specific take. Like unbelievably. And I got respect for him. I do. What the hell is this? What? So the Lions drafted the wrong Tennessee quarterback. Okay. And I read the article. So before people are like, read the article, I read it because I wanted to do him right. Because again, Mike Payton's a cool dude. So and maybe we'll have him on to explain kind of where he's coming from with this.
Yeah.
But he wrote an article. Oh, it's a lot of quote tweets. Okay, I'm not. he was getting some flack. But hey, that's what happens if you write something that's a little controversial. Then you're going to get a lot of pushback. It's okay. His thing, what he said in the article was, they drafted Hendon Hooker when they didn't really need him. And it's similar to what Neil Rule always says, like the Jake Moody over Hendon Hooker thing, because you needed Jake Moody. You could have used him, and Hendon they didn't even need. His argument was they took Hendon, they didn't really need him, and they should have waited till this year to take someone like Joe Milton, who's younger than Hendon Hooker, because he brought up Hendon Hooker's age, and he's not going to be able to play because Jared's going to get extended, and he's 26 years old. And he said, Joe Milton, you could have taken with a later pick, and he's years younger, and with the right development, he can be a stud, or he can be something in this league. So he titled it kind of clickbaity. It was funny. It's like the Lions took the wrong Tennessee quarterback. But his pitch was, why take Hendon Hooker when you can take Joe Milton? He's younger. You can develop him. And I'm sorry. I don't
want
what
to
are we
be mean
doing?
to Joe Milton. Joe Milton is not Hendon Hooker. Joe Milton is very far off Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker won football games and put numbers up. Joe Milton didn't do what Hendon Hooker was a Heisman candidate and probably a finalist and maybe a Heisman winner if he didn't get injured. Joe Milton just has a really nice arm, and it's just like, it's really cool to watch someone throw a ball like he does. Does that mean he can play football and he can go out there and win football games? No, that's the last thing. I would rather, to be honest, to this point, if I'm being honest, I would rather have Hendon Hooker. And if you think Hendon Hooker, the age is weird and Jared Goff is going to play out Hendon Hooker's contract and he's never going to have that chance, I would rather just draft another quarterback in a couple of years than draft Joe Milton this year. Yeah. Like next year, give me someone else later I don't care. I do not want Joe Milton on this football team anywhere near this football team. And this is no offense to Joe Milton. I just don't think he's like a great quarterback, and I don't think he's going to end up. I think it's one of those things to where it's like, I'm trying to think of a good example and like a comparison, even like in a different sport, like a Jimmer for a debt.
It's like a box of cereal.
I'm just thinking like a Jimmer for.
You go to the store, and like when you look at a box of cereal, you go to the store and you know it's going to be there every time. When you go to every NFL draft, you know there's going to be that strong arm quarterback. Yeah. It's always going to be there. Carson Strong out of Nevada, you remember him? Yeah. He rose up draft boards.
What it is, it's literally like a Jimmer for debt of college, to where the threes are beautiful, they're great. Can he play at the next level? No, everyone knows he can't. There's no chance. He can't go play in the NBA. It's Joe Milton. He has a beautiful arm. That thing can fly. He can throw really well. Does that mean he can go play at the next level? No. I don't know. There's a reason why he's not projected to go in the first couple rounds this year. He's probably not even projected to go in the first 3 rounds. It's because he just, I don't know. I don't know. I can't believe.
You know what, Boone?
I don't think it should be a conversation.
Boone, I call it the Jamarcus Russell rule. It's a rule I have in my head. If you can, right. if you lead with if you're a prospect and your lead top thing is can throw a football 80 yards, next. I'm not. That's not. There has to be other things there. And then for Joe Milton,
accuracy.
Yeah, like Joe Milton. Okay, the mobility certainly, and he's right. Like he's got size. He's like 6'5". I think I get where Mike's coming from with what he's trying to say. Yeah. I would rather have, and I'm going to say this now because I know Lions, and I'm not saying the chat will, but if people watch this that aren't listening live, that might be like, why would he say that? They're not taking a quarterback. I promise you. But I would rather have Spencer Rattler than Joe Milton.
I agree.
I would rather. And I don't even like Spencer Rattler. I'm not even saying I do. But those are 2 late round quarterbacks. I mean, Spencer Rattler.
Hartman.
You know what? Give me Sam Hartman.
All right. Who was the one guy that we loved?
Yeah, he's got a New York Jet.
He's got a
New York Jet.
How funny. Who was the guy at the combine that we loved? We were like, he might have had one of the best days. Who was our guy?
Who's that, Booner?
You guys were hyping him up. You guys just kept saying his name.
Are you talking about the Kentucky quarterback?
And I just kept saying, shut up. No, I don't even think it was a Kentucky guy. It wasn't Devin. Was it Devin Leary?
I think it was Devin Leary.
Yeah, Devin Leary.
Yeah,
I'd rather have Devin Leary.
Devin Leary.
Give me Devin Leary.
This year's Tommy DeVito. That's who he is.
Oh man, Devin Leary. He was out there slinging it too.
Yeah, I don't know where Mike was.
No, he was
Devin
not.
Leary, yeah, boy.
He was not.
They were slinging
He was
it, dude.
trying to get the ball down the field, like when they were doing the deep ball when like Joe Milton was just sailing them. It was like
I'm not
Devin
talking
Leary
about-
was next.
I'm not talking about
And it
distance.
was
I'm talking
struggling.
about short routes. That man was putting them on the dot. Poof, take
He
off.
has like a little Drew Brees out there, huh?
Yeah,
Little Devin
dude.
Leary,
He
little Drew
doesn't need to
Brees.
throw it. He doesn't need to throw deep.
Dude, anytime this is what blows my mind. And I was talking to my buddy, and it's like anytime there's an undersized quarterback in the draft, instant comparison is NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees. Anytime they're under 6 foot. Kyler Murray was a mobile Drew Brees. You're hearing Bo Nix is Drew Brees because he's a little undersized, but he can operate the middle of the field and pick apart a defense. It's egregious. Drew Brees is a top 10 quarterback of all time, in my opinion. You can say what you want. So the fact that just because a quarterback is 5'11", his NFL comp is Drew Brees is just asinine. It's disgraceful to the sport of football.
Yeah, I love that. And then if a
Bryce
quarterback,
Young,
if a quarterback plays off script, they're Patrick Mahomes. It's like
yeah. If they have a strong arm, they're Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, to the Mike Payton thing, like, listen, Mike, I respect it. Like, you got, man, if you could put an opinion like that out there and you stand by your research and everything, you got balls, man. So like, and he fought, there's like 40 quote tweets. So like, he's getting roasted and he does great work. So, you know, I do think his work, it's not like he does this all. It's just, hey, he felt an opinion. He put it out there. I just disagree with Joe Milton. I think we all have kind of been in lockstep with that. Like, Joe Milton is, he's all flash, no substance. You know, there's nothing there. Trust me. You know, maybe there's always that guy where you're like, maybe he can develop. He's got the arm. He's got the mobility. No, like Booner, you're a Michigan man.
Well, the man transferred and still didn't transfer into a starting job. I mean, I just don't know what else to. I don't know. He
lit up the combine. He lit up the combine. He lit up the pro day because of the arm. But like, that's my point. Like, that throwing with no pass rush, no defense. You're just like throwing bombs. Like, yeah, it's going to be great, but no, he's. I promise, he won't translate. Mm-mm.
Spot on. I'm 100% with you. I just
no way.
Give me Devin Leary.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Boone. Yeah.
You want to talk about Hendon Hooker over Jared Goff? Let's talk about Devin Leary over Jared Goff. How about that?
Hey, I'll take Devin Leary over Nate Sudfeld. You see that they brought him back?
Probably. Yeah, I think that's just like the familiar guy in the room.
Yeah, he holds the clip. He holds the clipboard.
From what I've heard and I've learned the last year or two. But Lucas, from what I've heard and getting into this business a little bit, I've heard from people who are in the building. And I'm sure we can ask Doc when he's on next. But I like those fourth quarterbacks. Like, what's his name that was in the building last year that came back and he was like the fourth quarterback on the roster. It's more so just helping Jared Goff out in his prep throughout the week, getting him like his scout, getting him whatever he needs. I think more so, and I don't think people think about this enough. When you have a third and fourth guy in the room, you want your number one quarterback to be comfortable with that guy. And Nate Sudfeld's been in the locker room with Jared Goff for the last 2 or 3 years. So like, that's just like, he knows how Jared Goff prepares. He knows, you guys know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's
like a very
roster spot that should be Stephon Gilmore.
Well, no, because because the thing is he's not going to be on he's not going to be on the game day roster. That's the thing. He won't be on the game day roster.
Well, he's
going to be on the practice squad. But he's going to be on the practice squad. He'll be a practice squad guy. See, that's right. I know you're messing with me, but
it's
the right move to have the right guys in the building to help out your quarterback.
When I think of what Sudfeld is to Jared Goff, and I'll make a Sopranos reference. It's like Silvio to Tony. Like, he's just kind of he's just going to sit there, be his right hand man. You need anything, Goff? You need anything? Like, he's not. I hope if let's say Jared goes down, it's not Sudfeld going in there. No way, no how.
No,
to quote
again,
way, no how.
Jared's playing through that injury. I'm not looking at that.
He's literally, and this, I mean this in the best way, because he's an NFL quarterback, a backup, if that. But I mean this in the most respectful way. He is like Jared Goff's like assistant. and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's more so like throughout the week, he's helping him with scout. He's helping break things down. Hey, Jared Goff needs, hey, can you get these? I don't know. It's just, that's how I feel it. And what I've heard in the locker room is like Teddy was a guy that helped Jared out with scout, and the other two guys there, I can't remember the other guys. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Oh, David Blau. And those two guys were like kind of like the help to Teddy B, and like make sure that Jared's ready for Sunday. And that's what it comes down to. Sudfeld's been in the room. He's comfortable with Jared Goff. Jared Goff's comfortable with him.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's you want the most comfortable guys for your quarterback one. It has nothing to do with him playing.
You're making a fair point. It's just I see that. Just
you laughed at me and made me had to call Sudfeld an assistant. I don't like how you just did that.
I wasn't. Yeah. I'm just laughing at just like Jared Goff's like assistant, his right hand man. It's like, dude, come on, like it's. And I'm not saying you, but it's just like that's. You're right, though. You're right.
That's what he is, man. Like he's just yeah. You need anything? Like, but you know what though? To give credit, and I just to kind of give Nate Sudfeld a little love. Like that's how you stay in this league, and if you're not good, which he isn't, like that's how you keep a job, man. You got to provide some sort of value. Like you know what I mean? Like he watch. Like he might do the David Blau where he jumps into coaching. Like right after it's kind of like what Kevin O'Connell did. He was a quarterback for like a year or two and jumped right into coaching. Like watch Sudfeld. They'll probably do that same thing. So we'll see. Like I said, hopefully he never touches the freaking field. Best case scenario for Lions fans.
Nightmare.
Speaking of another quarterback that was traded, Justin Fields. Dan had said something about Fields that I thought was super interesting in Florida. When they brought up how Fields was traded, they asked Dan, and Dan, here, I'll put this on the screen here. Dan said, "I'm not going to lie. It's nice to have Fields out of the division." Dan Campbell and Justin Fields. This is to kind of give credit here. This is let me make sure I get this page right. JPA Football. With Pick Six though, it's the pick6.com is where the graphic was originally from. Guys, and I get what he meant because he caused the Lions a lot of issues. I mean, the Bears probably should have beat the Lions twice, but they didn't. They split because Jared Goff and the offense and the defense coming in clutch, and they beat the Bears at Ford Field. And I get that Fields' mobility gives him fits. Like, I completely understand. But, I mean, you know who's coming in about a month, right? Like, let's not act like Fields is the big bad wolf. Like I think Caleb Williams is probably more
of something to be quarterback.
I would rather have personally. I would rather face Fields than Caleb Williams because I know he can't throw the ball.
That's fair.
Maybe
I don't know. Justin Fields gave us problems every single. He would rush for like 100 yards every game.
You are right about
especially this last year. Like, yeah, there was that comeback and you won the football game, but again, you were down. Justin Fields, like it was a struggle. And yeah, I don't think he meant it to where when Dan said the comment, I don't think he was like thinking, oh, Caleb Williams is going to be there next. I think it was just more so like, oh, Justin Fields is out of there. Like, yeah, man, that man gave us problems. Like, luckily we don't have to see him anymore. But obviously, I don't think. Caleb's going to be a better player, in my opinion. It's just more so Justin left. He did kind of cut us up a little bit, a lot.
Dan ain't scared of a quarterback that's wearing lip gloss on the sideline of a basketball game with a pink phone case. I can tell you that much. Hey, going to be a good player, though. Not going to scare him.
Oh, no, I saw a video today that almost made me a Caleb Williams fan. I almost tweeted out that, and I had to delete it. I was like, not going to put that out there, but he had a good video.
What'd you say? Video, Booner?
Don't say that.
He came out and he was like, look at my fingernails. They're clear. Like they're not painted. And he was like, yeah, I got pink lips. He was like something like ask your girlfriend about him.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
I was like, oh man. It was a good response. It was a great response.
I don't like that.
That's no excuse. There is no excuse to ever go out like that as you want to be a leader of a team one day. I'm sorry, as stupid as it sounds. That's nope.
It was respect. I know it's a good response. It was a good response from him.
That burned in my mind.
I don't know, dude. I can go check. I left the tweet in my drafts. I was thinking about.
Oh, I got it.
I left it in my drafts. I didn't want to do it, but
here we go. Let's see what Caleb Williams said about his nails because I have
a good player. I don't want him though.
Well, let's check this out.
Unbiased opinions.
Nails are clear. Lips are pink. Your girl love them. Nails are clear.
I
don't think it's a bad response. I think he's like,
no. For a second when you said
he's
it, I'm like, did he say ask your girl as in like he
I might have said it
used
wrong.
her lipstick? Like what? But then it makes
no,
sense.
it was more so like
I'm an idiot.
that's what it was.
Because
that's why I think it's like he's like not leaning into it, but it's like he doesn't care. He's just like whatever, dude. I don't care. Like, and he's just making jokes about it.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't give a shit. Like I'm drafting him number 1. Like I don't care about his nails. Like nah,
it makes me.
What?
I just wouldn't like. It's just annoying. Like it's just like sometimes I feel like he's almost doing it for attention. You know what I mean?
Could be true.
Like, and it's just like annoying. Like I feel like that's just not something. Like he's going to be a great player. I think he's the best quarterback in this class. Like I'm not saying that, but it's just there's just maturity things that I definitely question.
You know what's interesting? This kind of sparked my mind with just talking to Adam yesterday about the NFC North. Do you guys in the Vikings expected to trade up for JJ McCarthy? Yeah, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, and assumingly it's probably going to be JJ in the division. Like you better hope that Jordan Love, you better hope that he doesn't take off and become really, really, really good. And then you better hope that Caleb doesn't take off and become really, really, really good. And then JJ, your guy Booner, again, hopefully he doesn't take off and become really, really, really good. Because this NFC North, and now I'm not saying this year, like I think, but in the years to come, in the next, let's say 5. Lions, and you mentioned that Brad Holmes said this, Boone, that, they got the gas out, all the pedal to the metal in terms of just continuing to build this roster. But when you use that term window, what does that mean to you? Because I think this NFC, this is a not for long league, man. Like the NFL teams can turn the teams around quickly. And I think we got to start getting it out of our head that, the NFC North is just bad and it's going to be bad. I think the NFC North over the next couple of years is going to be incredibly competitive. And the Lions are going to have to be aggressive to stay in that mix. And I think you have the right GM and the right coach to do that personally. But what do you guys think about the whole window talk with kind of the outlook of the NFC North?
I'm with you on the fact, like the NFC North, it's not getting worse. It's only getting better. And as you go through that window, it can, I'm almost in the fact where if they get JJ, the Vikings, and he ends up working out there, which I think he will, and Caleb Williams is what people think he will be, this might be the toughest division in all of football in a year or two. So when you're looking at it like that, it's, I don't know if it's that, hey, the window's closing or it's closed, but it's a harder window to kind of fit through. If you know what if you kind of feel where I'm going with that. It's every single year you're going to have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to have a chance to win the division. You're going to have a chance to go to the playoffs and win playoff games. That's not going to be the case. The factor. It's going to be, are you going to win it? Because there's going to be really good quarterbacks in this division. This division's only going to get better and better. There are a lot of really good players in this division on both sides of the ball. The Vikings have a ton of weapons. That defense isn't as bad as I think people think they are. And the Bears, like I said the other day, I saw the Ryan Poles interview and I almost started to switch sides to where I'm like, I think Ryan Poles is kind of putting something together over there. And Jeff, I know we're going to do a segment on that soon, but there's this thing with the Chicago Bears to where they're starting to put things together on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be a battle. Do I think the Lions are going to, the window's closed? No. Like they're still in the next 2, 3, 4 years, they're going to continue to have chances to go on and win divisions and win playoff games and win Super Bowls. Does that mean they're going to win back to back to back to back? No, because the division just keeps getting better. But it's all gas, fellas. Like Brad Holmes says, you have to keep getting better because these other teams are going to keep doing it and keep doing it. And they're going to keep, like, these guys are coming out to win the divisions. I heard the Bills GM come out the other day and mention a lot of people think that the Bills keep getting slack and Josh Allen keeps getting like hate because they're not winning a Super Bowl. They have the teams to do it. It's just so hard in this league to do it, especially when you're like in the AFC right now. And like now it's going to be the NFC North coming up. It is so hard in the NFL to win football games and to be good. And that's where I think the window goes. And I know the Booner path, I joke around, oh, I want 3 Super Bowls in the next 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is. Realistic? Maybe not. But will they compete for Super Bowls the next 6 years? They probably can. Does that, like, that window, though, it's a tough window because teams are just going to keep getting better and better and better. And there's rotations, man. And right now, the Chicago Bears and Packers and Vikings, they're on the kind of the turnaround of that rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all just depends on the quarterback play just because of all the things you guys just said with the quarterbacks in the division. And I think that's why, at least Jeff and I know, Booner, you're definitely not opposed to it by any means, but that's why I think the Hendon Hooker pick was so crucial for the Lions because Jared Goff is playing at a very high level right now, but he's going to be the oldest quarterback in this division in a couple of years, and it's not going to be close. So when his play starts slacking, obviously that window starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, if Brad Holmes hits on Hendon Hooker, like a lot of us believe, that window opens right back up. So that's why I think people are so excited with this Hendon Hooker pick. So it completely depends on, one, the offensive line, which I think the Lions are going to continue to keep a strong unit and always have a top 5-ish unit through the course of their tenure. But then it just falls directly back on the quarterback play because the weapons are always going to be there. The defense, in my opinion, is going to be better than it has been because, honestly, how can it get worse, especially when you look at the first couple of years of this rebuild? So it depends on the quarterback play, in my opinion.
Do you know what, too? Kind of thinking about it as well, is a lot of people, like, obviously it was easy to win the division this year. It felt like obviously down the stretch there was a little bit of all right, boys, we got to get this thing going, but you won the division pretty easily. It's harder next year. It's going to be harder. And then the year after that, it's going to get even harder because if Caleb Williams works out, he's going to be even better year 2, and JJ year 2, and Jordan Love year 2. Like next year, it's going to be hard to win the division. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk like it was last year. And what I think that comes down to the next couple of years is I think it as well. It's coaching. Like who's going to be able to elevate their team to kind of the highest there every single year. Like use that talent, and as well as GM. And that's where I do think like Brad Holmes is one of the best GMs in the league, not the NFC North, but the league. So that's where I think that's where you have the advantage going into these off seasons and going into year after year with these windows is you have Brad Holmes. And I think Dan Campbell's on an upward route of becoming one of the best in the league as well. He does have to fix some things, but if you have the coach as well to do it, you can go win a lot of football games, and you can find that way. So that's where I think it, like Lukas said, quarterback, and I think GM. That's back to you and Adam's point, Jeff.
Yeah, yep. And you guys are both just spot on with that. I would give, and it's funny because the Lions last year, you would say, well, maybe the year prior, you'd say that head coach and quarterback easily was the Lions. You give the Lions that nod. This year, it's a little closer. I think Dan's still a better coach than Matt LaFleur, but it's not like this tremendous gap. And then I think that's the same thing with Jared Goff and Jordan Love. Like I would take as based off what we've seen, bigger sample size with Goff, so you got to give him the edge. But it's not like, again, the Packers are going to be competitive this year, but it's more of the next 3 to 5 years. As long as the Lions, you have the best head coach in the league and he continues to fill out his staff the way he has. We'll see with post Ben Johnson. Still believe in Dan as an offensive mind. I think he does a good job at hiring coaches. So I have belief in that. And as long as Jared Goff plays at a high level, which, a lot of Lions fans expect, we'll see. And I believe he can. So as long as you have that, they will be, I don't want this to be like, oh, watch out for the rest of the NFC North. Like, no, they have to watch out for the Lions. Like the Lions are the team that is now going to be hunted. They just made an NFC championship game. Like they deserve to be favorites for a reason. So I don't want that to get twisted either. Although we are talking about the rest of the NFC North, it doesn't take away to what the Lions are. You get another edge. A true edge, a bookend. This team is scary. Like I think in another corner, and they're right there, man. Like the Lions are going to be in this thing because of what you just said, Booner, head coach, GM, and how Jared Goff's playing right now.
What I think too is, if you guys look back, I talked about this earlier in the season when I was talking about kind of the future, obviously the whole Booner Pat thing. The Packers went on this run. I think they won. It might have been like 8 of the last 12. I think it was before the Lions won this one. I think it might have been like 8 of the last 12 divisions or something like that. And they didn't win every year. And that's the thing that I think was going to happen with the Lions, where I think they can dominate the next handful of seasons. there's just going to be times to where like the Bears or the Vikings, like they're just going to have these one-off years in the Packers to where they're going to step in. I think there's a chance you could see this Lions team with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell start to dominate the division in the next 6-7 years through that extension through 2027. But there are going to be these years to where, hey, this division, guys, it's like, I think a lot of people are downplaying what this division is it's going to be a really tough division. And the Packers, they won 8 out of 12 years, but there was years the Vikings had good year. There was these years, these one-offs, and I think that's where you do have to kind of stay a little grounded a little bit and be like, hey, yeah, we might be dominating now, but this isn't going to last forever, fellas. We have to keep rebuilding and build and build.
Yeah, and I saw this real quick, and it's just something I noticed, and I want to get to some comments here, get to people's thoughts. Truth Teller 2011, he's the best drafting GM in the league. We haven't seen Holmes do well in free agency or trades outside of the draft do well yet. One home run successful free agency acquisition is Monty.
Again, it's how you look at it. It's how you look at it.
And he's not
the biggest one for sure.
He's not
biggest name.
He's not too far off because, DJ who?
Anzo.
Yeah.
Anzalone.
Yeah.
CJ Garner-Johnson. That was a tough one though.
Yeah, because he was unavailable. So I don't think but still to his point, if this free agency class, if DJ Reader is one of your best defensive players, which he should be, and Carlton Davis plays really well this year, and then you got Amik Robertson looking pretty good. Then you can look back and be like, okay, Brad Holmes. Again, it's not a huge sample size, so he's still got more to prove. But I don't hate that comment. He still has more to prove, just like a lot of GMs do. I saw one comment here. LFG Spenny right again. Bears' new OC is terrible though. Was let go by Seattle.
So correct that he was not let go by Seattle.
Well, him and Seattle did go. They went different ways, but but Seattle got a whole new coaching staff. So it's not like the dude was just, hey, this guy stinks, get him out of here. I mean, if you're a head coach, you want your own staff. Shane Waldron was a part of McVay's staff, and he was the OC in Seattle when Geno Smith was like better than Goff, according to a lot of quarterback rankings. So I credit Shane Waldron and the weapons they had in Seattle. Like he's a good OC, man.
I don't think he was the issue in Seattle too. Like no, Pete Carroll, it was just about time for him to step away, and it felt like it was a mutual thing. Like, hey, I'm getting pretty old. Things aren't working, because it wasn't like they missed the playoffs. Yeah, but like the year before they were in the playoffs. I think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be as bad as people think he is.
Yeah, it's really like that. That's the thing we always say, right? I say on this show a lot, like if you're a defensive head coach, you got to nail your OC. And I'm curious if the Bears, I mean, that's a big reason why. I don't just say Caleb Williams. I mean, I like him from the college tape, and I've been watching Caleb for the last 2 years now. Ever since really he took Spencer Rattler's job, I started watching Caleb Williams. But it's also the situation he's going into. It's intriguing. So we'll see. Lions, they are the hunted. They were the hunted. They're going to continue to be the hunted. So we'll find out there. We got about 5 minutes till mailbag. And I just want to bring up something here and propose something. We're going to do an over-under segment for the NFC North pre-draft. So Boone, if you, and we can get some over-unders for all the teams and we'll go through. I know the Lions are about 10.5.
Yep.
Boone, are we hammering that? Are we
I think so. I don't see how you don't get more than 10 wins. Coming off a 12-win season, I don't see.
It was 9. It wasn't 9.5 last year. They just bumped it up one.
Might have been 8 at one point, but I think 9.5. Yeah, they bumped it up one. Yeah, I don't see how they don't hit that. There are some tough football games, and the schedule really hasn't come out. I do think it matters, like when road trips are and when certain games are, like when we could really break the schedule down. But 10.5 seems low. It's the same as like the Eagles are 10.5, which I think is like a hammer over as well. So we should break down those, and we should do some like contenders around the league as well, and some one-off teams.
How many games do you guys think the Lions win? For just not saying this is official, because there's still a draft, there's still things that have to unfold. Like we'll do a whole breakdown before the season, but just off the rip, like what's your expectations? How many games for both of you guys?
I say 11. I think that their schedule is going to be much tougher this year, and not let alone the division in itself. Outside the Vikings, they're not going to be as good, but they're still going to be a talented team matchup wise. They're going to be an offensive nightmare for some teams. I just think they're not going to be a 12, 13 win team, but I think 11 wins in the NFC this year is still going to be like a top 4 seed in the playoffs.
I'm gonna go 12. I think 12-5. Like early on, I think they're this is a team again that just gets better, and they just got better, and you haven't even hit the draft yet and got guys that you can put in the draft. I think a 12-5. If I'm looking this early now, like 13, you could say, because like last year the Dallas game, you should have had 13. I think there's a chance you could say 12 wins. I think it's pretty fair to say, hey, 12 wins, because they should be competing, in my opinion. After what you did last year, you need to improve. You should be competing for the 1 seed. I'll die on that hill all off season going into this year. This is a football team that you need to go compete for the 1 seed this year, and that this is, again, it's part of that window. This is a year to go do it. Go win the division again, compete for the 1 seed, and go compete for a Super Bowl. I think 12 wins gets you a chance to be in that conversation, and I think 13 could probably get you the 1 seed next year.
It's tough because I think what we assume, and this happens, I mean, not just for the Lions fan base or Lions media, but this happens all across the NFL. It's like you expect gradual increase in wins, because it's like, oh, they won 12, so they should win 13. And then if they win 13, they should win 13, 14. Like, yeah. I would say 11, 12. Like, if they win 11 games, I wouldn't be shocked. And it's not like they regressed. It's just like, to Lucas's point, you're gonna have a tougher schedule. Like, they got lucky last year with injuries. I know we lost James Houston, but for the most part, some of your foundational players were pretty healthy, and that it doesn't always happen like that. You wish the same result, but I don't know if I would say 13. I know some people are feeling 13. If they win 13, man, that's a hell of a year. Hell of a year.
Again, you should have had 13 this last year, though.
Yeah, but the schedule this year was very favorable.
What'd you say? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just saying you should have had 13 last year. So I just don't think it's like out of the picture. I'm not going to sit here and say 13 is a high number, so I'm not going to say that. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at it more so it's you're expected, and you should go compete for the 1 seed. That should be an expectation. So a 1 seed, if you have in my opinion, if you win 11 games, that means you probably weren't competing for a 1 seed. You're competing for the 3rd, 4th seed. And to me, that's a failure of a season, not a whole season, because you obviously can go still win games in the playoffs. But expectation-wise, your expectations next year is you want to be in that conversation for the 1 seed with the 49ers next year, and whoever else is in that. So that's why if 11 is you're not in that conversation at all.
And that's fair. Like, I could very well easily see them winning 12 games, but there's also that one team every year that wins 13 games because they have a cakewalk of a schedule, and then the 2 seed, and they play that 4 seed and they get whomped. And I just think that's the team that the Lions would be if they were to win 11 games. I just think when you look at the schedule, it's going to be tough to get 13 wins. I mean, I know you're not saying that, Booner, but for the people in the chat that are saying that, it's like, that would, in my opinion, that's the ceiling, and it's not a knock. An 11-win season is still a very successful season. Yeah, you want to chase that 1 seed, but that's a tough thing to do back-to-back years in the NFL, even if you do improve the roster, because teams around the NFC improve the roster as well.
I mean, you look at the NFC teams. What? No, what's up, Boone?
2, 3, 4.
What?
I'm just reading that. I'm looking at my bad. I didn't mean to do that. I was just more so looking at the next year's schedule. I wanted to just throw the teams out there and see if we thought they were.
It's tough because if you're telling me, not you're telling me, but if someone's trying to convince me 13, you gotta bring me a top 10 scoring defense, maybe even.
See, again, I almost disagree with you again, because they almost had 13 this year and they were like 20 something in defense. So it's like, give me top 15. It's not a common
thing. Like the Eagles were off to a hot start, and then their secondary took a shit, and so did the rest of the team.
Again,
they won 11.
Yeah, and they're not playing.
This team plays off of the offense. That's their
absolutely.
Again, and I agree. You need a good defense to be able to go win Super Bowls and do what you want to do. That needs to be top 15 this year. This team,
but it's hard when you're in these shootouts, Boone. And like the Chargers game, like you won that one. It was a great game, but like some of those aren't going to swing your way if you keep playing with fire. If you're just offense, like. Eventually, your defense is going to have to be like top 10, top 12.
Can I just name these games real quick for you, and let's just do like a quick, let's see what number we get.
Okay.
And I'll start with home games. Are you ready?
Yep.
Green Bay these are all at Ford Field right now. Green Bay.
I think they split with Green Bay, so I'll say win.
Win. Chicago at home.
I think they probably will split again with Chicago.
So win.
So that's
Minnesota
that's a
at
win,
home.
too.
When?
They could sweep Minnesota. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Rams at home again here with Matthew Stafford. No Aaron Donald. What do you think? I think they beat the Rams again at home. I do. In Ford
That
Field,
one
that's a tough,
I
tough
gotta see.
atmosphere.
Yeah, I gotta see.
think
I'm
we
gonna
give them a
say
win.
win because no Aaron Donald. I'm gonna say win, but it could definitely go either way.
Yeah.
Okay. Seattle
we'll-
at home.
They'll win.
Okay. Jacksonville home.
Remember
Remember last time Jacksonville came in, that was a 30-point win. Jacksonville home. What do you think?
They'll probably win.
All right. Tennessee at home.
That's a win.
Okay. Tampa at home.
That's a tough game too, man.
I'm gonna say loss on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buffalo at home. Loss.
I'll say a lean
Yeah,
loss.
yeah, loss.
For the numbers. Okay. Green Bay on the road. You guys said you guys want them to split.
Loss.
Chicago, you guys said you want them to split. Minnesota, let's say they beat.
Sweep.
They're going to sweep one of these North teams.
Yeah,
Let's say, okay. Arizona on the road. That's a win, correct?
win. Mhm.
Houston on the road.
I'm gonna say loss.
Okay. India on the road.
Indiana.
See, that's a Indianapolis.
think that's a
That's the
win.
game I
That's a
could
tough
see
game,
them
too.
losing. I
I think that's a win.
dude, if Anthony Richardson starts panning out, that's going to be a difficult because Shane Steichen, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, that's a team that could give
I think
Houston
there's
a run
too
for
many
money
games.
in that division.
And then obviously San Francisco on the road this year as well. I think there's too many games that you guys are looking at this saying, well, that could go both ways. Like the Tampa game, the Indy game, the
'Cause
Houston
you
game.
gotta-
I see where you guys are going with like it could go both ways. They're going to win some of those games. So like technically, I basically when we just did that, we had 11 wins, right? And 3 or 4 of those games, you go, well, they can go both ways. Let's just give them a loss. Let's say those 3 or 4 games, instead of going both ways, and let's just give all 4 of those games losses. Say they split in those games that could go both ways. That's 13 wins I just added up there. If
but
those
then there's
50-50
also-
games that you guys said are losses, if those go to losses, like you guys just said, say 1 or 2 of those goes to a win, that's 12 games or 13 wins. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? I get your point.
But then
It's tough games.
There's also the games where it's like Green Bay at home on Thanksgiving, like Lions win. They lost. There's games that
I
you're
get
gonna.
I get that.
there's
Again, we
always a
had
game.
the division split. We basically had the division split.
But I'm just saying,
But
there's
my
gonna be those
point
games
is-
where you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Who was the other? There was another game.
There was Tampa. There was there was the Bills. That was you can go either way. There was the
No. I'm saying this
Houston.
Last year.
season, like last year the
Oh,
Lions.
well,
who they
the
lose
Bears.
To? They lost. The Bears, the Packers.
won.
Who else did they lose to? The Seahawks.
yeah.
Mhm.
The Ravens.
I mean, like that's another game we
So-
all thought they would win.
This is my point though with this whole win total thing. It's you guys are looking at these games that can go 50-50 and just give them a loss automatically. Just saying, well, the Houston game, I could see them losing it. Let's give it a loss. I could see them losing Tampa. Let's give it a
we
loss.
gave that. We
Bills.
gave them wins.
Oh, so then
Went through.
I'm at 12 then because I gave them a loss in my mind then when I just counted.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
we when we were going through it, you're like win or loss, and we're like, we'll say win, but like we
I
got
thought
to
you guys said
11.
lost.
So
No,
I thought you guys
it-
said
I don't
lost.
know. It doesn't matter the team. Like I'm just saying in general. when we
my-
were going through it, we were like, I think it's a win, and I'm like, yeah, I'll say win. But like Lucas said, like a lot of these games could go either. That's how I think the NFL just is, man. Like you're gonna lose some, you're gonna win some. You should win. You should.
And I didn't forget Dallas too. There's the Dallas game too at the very end. I forgot that at the end.
And you
So-
assume they get revenge. But
Another
I'll do a win on
50-50
that one.
game. I just think this is my point though. It's like when we look at those 50-50 games, guys, in your guys' eyes, a lot of the times you're going to be like, oh, that's a loss when you're trying to break down this record. This isn't like an average football team anymore, fellas. This is a game where
No,
a team to
think
where
so
when
at
you
all.
go these 50-50 games, they're going to win more than they're going to go over 500 in these 50-50 games. They're going to have a chance to go out there and beat the Bills and potentially could beat them. Same with Dallas, same with San Fran, same with
keyword
Houston, same with
potentially.
Indy, same with
That's all
Tampa. Potential,
Yeah.
but you like when we break these
Of course.
games down, most of the time you guys are like, well, it can go both ways. Let's just go loss to be safe. And then you just get like 7-8 losses. And it's like,
man.
that's not realistic because they're going to
No,
at least win.
No,
They're gonna win 4 out of the 6
They're
of those
going to
games.
win 11, 12 games this year. Like I think I'm
know,
saying
but when we
13
just
is
broke
their
that
ceiling.
My point was,
But
when
you
we
look
broke
at the
that down,
schedule, and
the
you've
50-50
also
games you
got
guys
like
got lost.
I was saying I could see it going both ways because this team's going to be a lot better because I feel like some people go like you look at the Colts and you're like, oh, that's a win like what they did last year. It's like, no, like there's teams also just not only in the NFC, they're going to get a lot better, make a run for the division. The AFC South, That's what the Colts are doing right there. You look at what Justin Fields did to the Lions. Anthony Richardson can do that on the ground as well. And it's one of those things where it'll be matchup games too. Injuries for the Lions. I know that applies, but
I get what you boys are saying. Like it could go either way. Like I understand how that works, but I'm just saying when we break the games down, those 6 or 7 50-50 games, when we did it, most of those you guys just go loss. And I think instead of doing that, I think it's more majority of those need to be wins. And I think that's how you get to 12, 13 games instead of 10 or 11. I think those games now, as good as they are, those are win games now instead of losses like it used to be.
I just don't want to assume I think they could win, but I know watching the NFL for a long time that you're not always going to win games you're supposed to. You think they'll win. It's just how it goes. So I think 11-12 is fair. It's only one win off 13. It's not like I'm like 9-8.
I would be very disappointed. 11. I think
we had 11, and then you said the Cowboys game at the end, and I'd give them a win at the Cowboys. That puts it at 12.
I would be I'm not going to lie.
We'll say 12 to make people feel better.
I'm just not going to lie. If there's 11 wins next year, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be like, there was expectations this year to go get a 1 seed, and you guys went out there and won 11 games.
I just want them to make the playoffs, dude. Just get in the playoffs. I don't give a shit. I just get in there. You know what I mean?
He's not saying no. You can make the Super Bowl winning. Like if you get in the playoffs, they're a team built to win playoff football games.
Yeah,
they're not a 1 seed. Like they need the 1 seed to win the Super Bowl.
Win the division.
Win the division. You get the top 4 seed.
I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting flashbacks.
No.
This is Jeff Iafrate flashbacks for me right now. Jeff knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Win the division. Isn't that important?
The conversations we had all year when I created the Booner path of, their ceiling, man, is just a playoff win, and it's just flashbacks, like boys. No, it's just flashbacks.
Because I don't think they'll win 13 games. Like that's all it is.
No.
Win the division. That's what it should be, Boo. Win the division.
Flashbacks were you saying, I just want them to make the playoffs. I'm just like, don't do this to me again.
Oh no, I didn't mean it like that. I meant win the division. That should be really the most important thing. If they don't win,
having those conversations.
I'm cool. I think me and Lucas. And I think you would be cool with that too, Boone. If they don't get the 1 seed, just win the division. I don't give a shit. As long as you win the division, they're gonna. Square up whoever they got in the playoffs. Let's go. It'll be at Ford Field. Let's go kick some ass. I don't care about the one. It would be great to get the 1 seed, but I'm not like 1 seed or bust. I don't want that to be the storyline there. But anyway, it don't even matter. We're 1 game. We spent 10 minutes talking about a 1 game difference. So hey,
I think it was a good conversation, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was. All right. Well, we'll get to this one. Answer 14 mailbag. What in the hell is it going to take to have Jeff and Lucas get some damn faith? I don't know what the faith is. It's like 1 game. They did like 12. I said 11. 12.
No, answer 14. I've been in this battle for 12 months now with the Booner path with everyone.
No.
Boone, how is it 1 win?
You can have
I got laughed at saying they were going to go to the NFC Championship game.
No,
that is true. I admitted I was wrong. I'm
not just you guys. I'm saying everyone laughed at me. Oh, Booner, NFC Championship.
So what are you being laughed at now? I'm confused. What's going on? 13 wins? Is that what you're saying? Because we said 12.
I don't know. That's not my official prediction, too. I'm going to make sure.
Well, you can't do all that to say that's not your official prediction.
We don't do official predictions until like the week before the regular season starts.
You just died on the sword.
I might go 14. I might go 14. I might go 14 wins. Right now, my prediction is 12-5. I might end up by the time the season comes around, the way Brad drafts, you might see a 14-3 record. I don't know yet, because last year I said 13 wins and they landed at 12. Should have had 13. I still think I was spot on last year because I had the Dallas game.
Yeah, well, dude, yeah, you were right. You called it. Like you thought they'd, go on a playoff run. I thought they'd win a playoff game and leave, go home, but I was wrong. This year,
we can go. Also, Eduardo said, "Did Booner waste our mailbag segment?" I did talk a lot the last 10 minutes, so let's just go about 5 minutes over, boys. I apologize. Sometimes I get going. That's why I love doing what I do.
Let's say, and by the way, to this comment real quick, True Teller, I don't think 11 games wins the division. He's probably right. You're gonna have to win 12, probably at least, in my opinion. Maybe even 13 to Boone's point. But that's why I said 11, 12. I mean, if you want to see 12, cool.
Oh,
They got damn near the
12.
same schedule. It doesn't I think 11 games could vary, especially with tiebreakers. Like there could be two teams that like the Lions and Packers could very well both win 11 games, and it just comes down to division record.
Which that's what matters. And if they start sweeping, they get the broom out. Mm-hmm. Now we talking. Let's get to a couple questions here before we leave. Ian Olson, Mailbag. I don't care if we win 11 or 14 games. We're going to make the playoffs. But what seed are we getting in the playoffs?
So that's what I want. I want a 1 seed.
I want a 1 seed. I think they'll get somewhere 1 through 3.
The NFC runs through Ford Field. That's what it needs to be next year.
Eduardo O'Neill, Mailbag. You are Brad Holmes. It is draft day. Washington calls you and says, we would like to give you this year, the next year's first for a third in golf. What are you doing? Are you even considering?
Decline.
We'll like to give you this year and next year's 2 first-round picks for a third in golf.
Yep, decline.
Yeah, no, not doing it.
I'm not tearing my locker room apart.
No,
that's a rebuild move. That's a rebuild move.
Yeah, that is a rebuild move, and also golf. If he's good, that pick's going to be that's terrible.
Don't tear that locker room apart.
No, that's a done. You wouldn't do that. No, Eduardo. There's no way they would do that. Let's see. I'll get one more. We'll get one more question. We'll let the people get their questions answered here. Keith, Mailbag. You think that with the signing of Reader that they will play Houston more on third down, more than third down? I think that's actually not a crazy suggestion. I just think DJ Reader, Lee McNeil's presence, fellas. I mean, you might be able to get away with Houston. I just don't know. I mean, you got other guys like a Davenport or Josh Pascal that might be better against the run. Key, in those situations. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it might give them a little, just because DJ Reader is going to have such an impact on the run game compared to Benito Jones, to your point, Jeff. So maybe that allows them to get a little bit flexible with James Houston and the likes of that, so they can have strictly another pass rusher on the other side of Hutch to win one-on-ones. But I don't think it'll be anything like DJ Reader doesn't impact James Houston more than James Houston impact James Houston. He has to earn those, in my opinion, more so than they're just like, okay, we can throw James Houston out there now.
I think too, James Houston's they're going to start getting back to where they used him his rookie year. So you're going to see him just mostly on third downs and then where it's a pass situation. I would like that at least, because last year I did not. I don't know. I wasn't like a fan of seeing what I saw.
Yeah, you using them in pass coverage and special teams, or like
that just didn't hit right with me. I just let that man just be an edge. Let that man be an edge rusher, and when it plays in my head every single time. The Trevor Lawrence. I was actually at Fort Field. Shout out Maz. Maz got me tickets. He was like, "Booner, you want to go to the game?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was 2 years ago, and he tackled Trevor Lawrence, and I was at Fort Field, up 30 points, and
that man,
I just replay that in my head, that same play when I think of James Houston, and that's what you want him to get back to. Let that man play on third down, pass plays, and just let him be Bobby Boucher, like Waterboy.
Bobby Boucher. All right, we'll end the show here. We'll end the show here. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to Scott Bischoff, man, for doing great stuff today. We'll definitely be putting that video up tomorrow, him kind of going through his mock draft. But until tomorrow, it's Friday, Feel Good Friday. We'll have a good show tomorrow. We'll
Feel Good Friday. I like that.
Got to go down to downtown tomorrow, test the internet at bookies, get things all set up here for the end of the month live draft show, which stick around. We'll have flyers put out on all our social media platforms. You can follow us above any of the links at Official CT Pod, at Official Crunch Time on TikTok. That Hendon Hooker video is doing pretty well. So TikTok's been good to us lately. They've been good to us. Booner, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to throw out there tomorrow. It's Friday. Fun Friday, fan mock draft Fridays as well. So if you guys haven't on Twitter or Instagram, send us a message, or you could tweet at us and at us, or whatever you want to do. Just send us your mock drafts if you want them. And typically, if you send them, like I would say this: if you have Twitter DMs, those are the ones that I typically go to first, grab those, and then work my way down. So if you want a better chance of us using yours, that's probably your best bet, or tagging us as well. So send them over.
There you go.
I'll start collecting them tonight.
All right. Love you guys. Great show today.
Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Love you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll catch you tomorrow. Have a blessed night.